Mm-hmm. Set it up. I say peace and benedictions. Was I the only one that heard that fireworks going off yesterday? I don't know if they was doing that all around, but I heard that shit around here and shit. You know what I mean? But anyway, you know, they had the whole Groundhog Day shit, and of course, the damn groundhog seen his shadow, and it's always gonna see his shadow. You know what I mean? I don't like what you expect. You know what I'm saying? Like, like it's 6 more weeks of winter either way. But it's the halfway point of the spring equinox, and that's what the whole Candlemas firelight ritual is about. You know what I mean? Mind you, that the Groundhog's Day is the 33rd day of the year. You know what I mean? And the people that deal with the number 33, they also deal with the light. The bearers of light. So the Candlemas ritual is about a light fertility spring pre-spring ritual. You know what I'm saying? And Candlemas symbolic is also connected to Valentine's Day, Lupercalia. You know what I mean? They moved the date back and forth, and when they first came over here to celebrate the shit, they used to use groundhogs. I mean hedgehogs. And when they couldn't find a hedgehog in Pennsylvania, the Dutch motherfuckers, they just used the groundhog. You know what I mean? To go along with the different rituals, whatever. So right now, this is Saint Bridget's time of protecting people. Just like they had Saint Corona, that was supposed to be the patron of the saint of pandemics. You know what I mean? Shit, crazy. But it's Black History Month. You know what I'm saying? And Black Love Day is 2/13. The 13th, the day before. Uh, what's the name? And that's like in the eyes of the month. So it's a lot of shit going on in the month. And of course, Black History Month is the 42 and the 59. You know what I'm saying? February equals 42, and it ends on the 59th day of the year. So starts off with the 33, ends with the 59. So you'll see that different numbers pop up here and there throughout the month. And you know, let me see what we got here. We got all kind of shit going on, man. This damn monkey business is back in the damn news and shit. But before I get into that, I want to play this little clip about Candlemas rituals. You know what I'm saying?
February 2nd in the Northern Hemisphere is reserved for searching and hoping for light. The day marks the celebrations of Imbolc, Candlemas, and Groundhog Day. All these festivities share the common theme of anticipating the return of spring. Imbolc begins the evening of February 1st and ends the evening of February 2nd. Ancient Celts observed Imbolc as it is the halfway point between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. It is also around this time that a ewe's milk is coming in and the lambing season will soon begin. To honor this time, Imbolc invited individuals to light candles in honor of the goddess or saint, depending on your spiritual path, Brigitte, and ask for aid during the coming lambing season. In the Christian tradition, Candlemas marks the 6-week period after Jesus' birth and when he was presented to the temple. This is also the time when candles were/are brought to the church to be blessed for the year ahead. Traditionally, many homes would spend January as a time for making new candles, and it was these freshly made candles that were brought in to be blessed. Once the candles are blessed, they then can be lit and be a symbol of eternal light. Groundhog Day is a folk tradition that shares the belief that when a groundhog emerges from his burrow on February 2nd, he will predict if spring is on its way. If the groundhog sees his shadow on this day, he will return to his burrow, for there will be another 6 weeks of winter. If the groundhog does not see a shadow, it is a sign that spring is already on its way. Depending on your spiritual path and beliefs, you may choose to celebrate one, two, or all three of these traditions on February 2nd. I personally feel that February 2nd is a time that should be given more attention. January can be a difficult month. February 2nd allows us to pause and bring light back into our lives. And now here are some ideas for how you may want to honor this time. Bless new candles. Depending on your belief system, you may want to do a blessing yourself and a ritual to bless your candles in your home, or you can bring your candles to a church for a blessing. Light the new with the old. Begin by safely setting up any candles that you have in holders. Then light an old candle and take that flame around to bless and light all the new candles. This is a wonderful way to welcome and share light. Have a candlelit evening. Turn off your overhead lights, leave the computer, phone, and television off for the night. Sit down for a feast at your dining table that is lit only by the flicker of candlelight. After dinner, share stories and songs out loud. Allow the light of the blessed candles to fill your home and your heart. Make sure to always practice safety when you're having your candles lit. Have a crepe or pancake dinner. In France, February 2nd is Crepe Day. So why not prepare some crepes or pancakes if you prefer them, light some candles, and indulge in a sweet treat. Prayer or meditation to the sun. February 2nd has a focus on light and spring. Previously, people would wish for the sun's quick return and for spring to jump forth as soon as possible. But during this age of climate crisis, February 2nd can be a wonderful time for pausing to thank the sun for his respite and for the ongoing winter that we have. The cold earth and snow are important elements of our ecosystem and growing seasons. I hope that these ideas inspired you to gather some time together on February 2nd.
Now you see how they talked about, light and sun worship. And of course, like I said, that's the 33rd day of the year. So the illuminated light bearers, they do shit on that day, just like the Pope who was only a Pope for 33 days, that was in Godfather 3. You know what I'm saying? And, you'll notice the reference to orange in that movie. But anyway, it's Black History Month, 59 and the 42, and right out the gate, they come with the black girl that's supposed to have committed suicide. Now she used to work for CNN, and she was a former Miss America. You know what I'm saying? So I've been trying to dig up on some shit on her to see, like, did she speak out about something or was she against something? And but it's really crazy that they said she committed suicide. She jumped out the top floor window of the penthouse or whatever. And that made me think about that Dave Chappelle joint when he was talking about the his friend that committed suicide, and he was like, man, like, women don't normally you know jump out of buildings or jump off of rooftops and stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean? That's more traditionally like something that a man would do. You know what I mean? So I kind of think that, that's some suspect shit, that she might have been thrown off and they said she jumped off, but you see they kind of swept that out the news. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't really hear too much about it. I think I got a little news clip right here about it.
I want to turn now to our GMA cover story. A lot of you maybe saw this shocking news last night or woke up to it this morning. The tragic death of former Miss USA and Extra correspondent Chesley Christ, who died by apparent suicide Sunday morning. We're going to check in with our Dr. Ashton in just a moment to tell you about warning signs and also help for family members who may have lost someone to suicide. But right now, let's check in with ABC News Live anchor Lindsay Davis with the story. Lindsay, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning. This is a tough one, TJ. This is a young woman who showed so much promise, multiple degrees, a beauty pageant winner from a big family in North Carolina, who not only
No
worked on
signs
Extra
of
TV, but also worked at a law firm on
depression.
behalf of prisoners to get them reduced punishments, and she did that for free. But often we just don't know what people are
Oh,
dealing with personally,
maybe
and
they didn't
yesterday
like you was
morning she
doing that.
reportedly got up and decided to end it all, jumping to her death from a Manhattan apartment building.
North Carolina. This morning,
I don't know,
immense
man.
shock and sorrow after the death of former Miss USA
She sounds
Chesley
suspect.
Christ, the 30-year-old apparently dying by suicide. Her devastated family writing in a statement, her great light was one that inspired others around the
A
world
great
with her
light.
beauty and strength. She cared, she loved, she laughed, and she shined. Just hours before her death, this photo was posted to Christ's Instagram with the caption, "May this day bring you rest and peace." Christ, a highly accomplished attorney with a master's in business from Wake Forest University, represented North Carolina in the Miss USA pageant, crowned the top title in 2019.
Mine is the first generation to have that forward-looking mindset that has inclusivity, diversity, and strength and empowered women.
She appeared on GMA to celebrate a historic win for Black women in the top 4 pageants that year.
I think there are times where I am disappointed because people will sometimes comment on our social media and they'll say, "Why are we talking about your race? Like, you guys are just 4 amazing women." I'm like, but there was a time when we
See how they be
literally
trying to
could
work
not
on these
win.
systems?
She then competed in the Miss Universe competition,
Don't even talk
placing
about
in the
being
top
black.
10,
That's crazy.
and went on to be a correspondent on Extra, the entertainment show, issuing a statement saying, "Our hearts are broken. Chesley was not just a vital part of our show, she was a beloved part of our Extra family and touched the entire staff. Our deepest condolences to all of her family and friends." Chesley Christ was 30 years old.
Back in 2019, she posted about
Man,
mental
that shit is
health on the Miss
crazy.
USA Facebook page, where she wrote that she did a lot to maintain her own mental health, including talking to a counselor. I talked with a good friend of hers last night, and I asked, how would you describe her to people who never had the chance to meet her? And he said, just such a light, genuine, down-to-earth, full of life. TJ.
All right, Lindsay, and I'll pick up on that point there, Dr. Ashton, that we have mutual friends. And yes, I found out from a friend, a colleague of hers, this is what she said about her. She was the person who never had a bad day.
Yeah.
So what warning signs are we supposed to be
Well,
looking
I think the first most important
So
thing is
why
if
would
you've
she
lost
just
someone
jump
to
out
suicide,
a
this is
window?
not your
Why don't
fault.
she just
It
jump
can
off
be
the roof?
difficult to pick up on these because, again,
You
what's
know what
on
I'm
the
saying?
surface
Like, that sounds
obviously
suspect.
may not reflect what someone's going through inside. But again, if you can break it down to things they say, ways they behave, and moods that they express. So examples would be, people giving away their possessions and their pets even, stating that they feel that they're a burden or that they're
And
trapped,
she ain't did
acting
none of that. She
withdrawn, a
just up
change in
one
their
day
behavior at
decided
work
to
or
just
in a
jump off
social setting, and then
the shit.
expressing,
Come on,
feelings
man.
that they've lost hope and that they're helpless. Those can be some of the warning
Did
signs.
What
anybody
do you
see
do to go about if
a
you're worried about
TikTok
somebody? What is
video
that
or
first step
something?
to help?
The first
You
and
know what I'm
most
saying?
important
Like,
thing, TJ,
people
is
be
you have
these
to
crazy
actually ask
paparazzi. Like,
them, are you having
it would
thoughts
be a
of
video of
suicide or
her out
self-harm?
here
This will not put an idea
jumping
in
off
their
of a
head.
cliff.
And
You
if
know what I'm
they
saying?
answer
Jumping
yes,
off of a
take
building. You know
that
what I mean?
seriously. Do not leave them alone. Assure them there's always hope and help. Acknowledge that you can see they're in pain. And if necessary, bring them to an emergency room and get professional help. That is so important. It is scary when someone
Now, like I'm always skeptical of anything like that. You know what I'm saying? And one thing about this social media shit is that you gotta really like watch what you say online. People sometimes they have a bad day and they like fuck it, man. I don't care. I want to die or whatever. You know that shit gets stored and you know put to the side. Like, okay, yeah, this dude was suicidal today. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta be careful with shit like that. You can't just be saying shit like that online. But mind you, she ain't. They had nothing on it. Like that's a little suspect. You know what I'm saying? So like I don't know, man. There's a lot of shit going on. Like crazy shit. You know, the motherfucking Canada shit, that recently shit. They had the mandate, going on where they had they had a mandate against the truckers. So the truckers is like, nah, like, we ain't going for that shit. So they went up there to support each other. And, apparently, they got these people to push back. So, you know what I mean? Like, and that's what a lot of people need to do about these mandates. No more mandates. You know what I'm saying? You know, but shit just crazy right now, man. Like, it's all kind of crazy shit going on, man. Like, I was just looking at, a couple of different things or I was listening to the radio and shit, and one thing I did notice is that when you see a lot of these missile strikes, it seemed like a lot of bullshit be going on like right after that. You know what I mean? It's like it's kind of crazy as shit. Like, you know, um, let's look at one of these
Hive.
Jones real quick.
At the core of the Beirut explosion, government officials fear, is some 2,750 tons of ammonium nitrate, a common ingredient for fertilizer. But
And
mixed
that's the
with
same
fuel or
shit that
sugar,
they
it can be a
said that
precursor
Timothy
for
McVeigh
homemade
was
bombs.
using.
They have been used by the IRA and terrorists worldwide. Anti-government extremists used 2 tons and killed 168 in Oklahoma. Chris Hunter is a decorated bomb disposal expert who served with British Special Forces and still works in Iraq and Syria.
What you can see is a series of sparks and flashes, sort of down towards the base of the actual flames themselves and the smoke. And that's consistent with something like fireworks cooking off. If it's combined in something like shipping containers, then what you can get is effectively a giant pipe bomb.
But that, he says, was just the detonator for the vast ammonium nitrate explosion.
Moments later, of course, we see the explosion itself. And that's preceded by that sort of very brilliant red-coloured smoke coming up as well. And that's consistent with chlorates and nitrates of the type used in fertilizer.
Lebanon's Prime Minister has vowed investigations and punishment for whoever allowed this to happen. Hunter says that the white smoke further suggests it was an accident. A fuel mix used in terror attacks would be black, but the shockwave still supersonic. So in his expert opinion, the blast that flattened so much of Beirut was not an act of malice.
Man,
But
that
that
sound
doesn't
like the same
explain
shit they use
how the fireworks
in
store or
Timothy
ammunition
McVeigh
dump
shit.
caught fire. Much less why. Sam Kiley, CNN.
Yeah, man, like it's a lot of fuck shit going on, man. Like that shit look like the same shit that they was using over there, man. But the shit with the supply chain shit, that shit really just like people don't even be paying attention. Like you go to the store, it ain't shit in the stores and the aisles and shit. This shit missing all crazy and shit. And a couple months ago they told you like, all right, it was a lot of shipping containers just docked on the side, with a whole bunch of goods that, people couldn't get to. You know what I mean? They doing this mandate shit, keeping people from getting their shit. And, that's what that whole trucker shit was about, right up under people's nose and shit. You know what I mean? And like, you know, where's the fucking stimulus shit at? You know what I'm saying? Like, like people were supposed to get the stimulus, they come up, but now I just was looking at some old shit right here. Now I remember I'm gonna just pull up this shit just to show you what they said about the stimulus. Now a lot of people and still, and all across the country, they still ain't get shit, and they looking like, yo, what's this new stipulations or something?
Okay, first, this agreement to change the eligibility rules around the stimulus checks was something that got moderate Democrats on board. Are you concerned at all about the left on this? That they see this as negotiating against yourself, and maybe not living up to the promise that even the president was making in campaigning with the Georgia runoff candidates. Are you concerned that by cutting some people out of eligibility, that you're actually giving people? There are people who are not going to get checks who did get checks during the Trump administration, and in some ways not living up to his
what the president promised and committed to was ensuring that the American people receive $2,000 in checks. This $1,400 is part of delivering on that promise. He also proposed, of course, a higher threshold, as you know, in his own proposal in his joint session speech that he delivered a couple of weeks ago. He has also been clear that he is open to changes on the margins of this package. While he is very firm on the $1,400, and as you know, there's been negotiations about trying to lower that to $1,000 or change the size of the check. He's unmovable on that, repeated that to me again this morning, and he has been very clear.
And you've been listening to White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki hold the daily press briefing. She says the White House is pleased with progress being made on COVID relief, and she is comfortable with changes on the margin of the stimulus checks. Now, you can continue watching the White House on cbsnews.com/briefing.
You see how they just like cut her off and shit? Like they ain't even get to the bottom of the shit. Like, you know, so like people still like looking for this bread. You know, they talking about this spending bill and shit, and you know, they stressing like, yeah, we gotta have money for infrastructure and shit like that. You know, and motherfucking your man Joe Biden in some time, this motherfucker he was on his way to Pittsburgh, you know, to talk about you know, because a lot of that spending shit that they had is about, you know, infrastructure and shit. Now I don't know if you remember the last time they was talking about infrastructure. It was in Ohio, a bridge collapsed. And all these people had felt like, you know, was fucked up. And it was just crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? So now here we go again with the same shit. You know, this dude, he talking about, you know, this infrastructure bill. You know what I'm saying? He on his way to Pittsburgh to go talk about it. And what happens? The shit collapsed. You know, and then he pull up right to come talk about the same shit that, you know, he wanted to talk about. You know what I'm saying?
Just hours after a major bridge collapsed in Pittsburgh, President Biden making a visit to the site, part of a trip to the city to discuss federal efforts to rebuild the nation's crumbling infrastructure.
They're going to fix them all. Not a joke.
The president thanking first responders who rushed to the scene this morning when the snow-covered bridge gave out, leaving cars overturned and a bus hanging perilously off the edge of the road.
The bus was bouncing,
you know what I'm saying?
And it seemed
you see how they do they symbolism.
The bus finally came to
red buses
sacrifice. So far, there are no deaths and 10 minor injuries.
The firefighters that were here initially on scene also did like a daisy chain with hands.
I don't know what's going on with the audio right.
The NTSB sending a team to the scene as an investigation into the cause of the collapse gets underway.
The travel on this road is really
if it's people unaccounted for, then
on the east side of
how do you know ain't nobody
bridge
dead?
Collapse is a stark visual of the need to invest in America's roads, bridges, and rails. Pennsylvania alone has more than 3,300 bridges in poor condition, the second most after Iowa. In a speech just miles from the site, the president touted the newly enacted bipartisan infrastructure law, which provides more than $1 billion in funding for Pennsylvania's bridges.
What a coincidence.
The first time in the country's history that we dedicated national program to repair and
he up there talking about that shit. I don't know what's going on with the audio, but I had to cut that joint off and shit. You know what I mean? Like, these dudes are stripping, man. Like, that shit ain't a little suspect to you. Yeah, look, yo, remember the story about the monkeys and shit? Like, that shit is back and shit. But look,
hey, Birdman and them motherfuckers.
Huh?
He Birdman in them. He ain't feeding the circle. He got all his niggas in the circle. Stop. That's why the country gonna fall apart, man.
Man, that shit is not coincidence, man.
Oh no.
Just like the monkey story ain't no coincidence, and that shit coming back. That shit back in the news. And they say it's 11 days later. You know, they always do with the same shit. You know what I mean? But like, you know, I was listening to the radio and shit. Now remember they had the mandate for you know, for everybody is saying like you gotta lose your job and all that shit. Now, one of the things that I was saying is that they fudging the numbers on how many people got this situation. Like you think about it, all over they saying that, they short staffed for this, short staffed for that. You know what I mean? They ain't got no people to fill these jobs and shit, right? Now here in the city, like, Philadelphia is like had like a real bad year, in terms of murders and shit like that. So this city can't afford to not have no police. You know what I'm saying? So when they try to like bang this hammer down, like, yeah, you got to get this situation, or you just out of here. They had to repeal back on their own shit. You know what I mean? And I'm like, man, like, yeah, it'll be chaos now, and like that's one of the things that I'm using to prove to say it's not as many people that got this shit that they saying. The numbers that they saying is not as high. They saying that 70-80% of these everybody got this situation. But if that's the case, why you can't fill no jobs, and why you moving the goalposts again? You know what I'm saying? Now, look, listen to this shit that I had snatched off the radio the other day.
An appeal brought by the police union, but arbitrators say cops can't be fired, and they have put off a decision on the other consequences officers who don't get vaccinated will face. Our City Hall Bureau Chief Pat Loeb reports.
You can be fired, though.
Employees must have at least one vaccine dose by February 11th, but there's a lot more carrot and a lot less stick to the mandate. The bonus for complying now starts at $500 for those fully vaccinated by March 15th.
Oh, they're giving out bread.
In $200 increments before ending on March 30th.
Mm-hmm.
The panel removed the city's power to fire employees that don't comply. Instead, it says it will decide on consequences by March 1st after it gets data on the number of vaccinated officers. So far, it's in the 70 to 80% range. Deputy Mayor for Labor Rich Laser says the ruling tries to give each side something that it wants.
We want everybody to get vaccinated, so any way we can get that done quick and safely, that's what we want.
The ruling allows medical and religious exemptions and an appeals process, but also requires that anyone whose exemption request is denied must get vaccinated within 2 weeks.
Now, this ruling applies to all 4 city employee unions.
Now, I mean, they canning people, all over. People that lost their jobs all crazy, like, you know what I'm saying? But like, I guess everybody don't got to follow the same laws. So like, what if this is really like, a situation, right? I ain't even gonna get all into that, but like,
before you get into that, I want to say a few things.
Why wouldn't cops be safe? Now, look, I'm gonna let you speak, but I just want to ask this question real quick. Why wouldn't you want cops to be safe? And why wouldn't you be worried about them interacting with people? You know what I'm saying? The safety of the public.
They causing animosity toward the people and the cops, so they definitely ain't gonna want to protect your ass. Now you assed out, and you don't got no weapons. You don't supposed to be. So now you're defenseless. Now you can get your ass whipped. So that's the whole plan.
Now, when you think about being a cop, like, it's really sad. Like, it's sad, like, how they treating cops right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody that has like their own way about how they feel about the police and law enforcement. But, at the end of the day, these people, man, they really had to take on a whole extra job and not get paid extra for it. Like, that's kind of crazy. Like, it's like you telling these people that they risking their life even more than they was, a couple years ago, and they could get sick, they could die from whatever. They have to yield back to certain situations. You know what I mean? Like, I seen a cop straight up get shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, trying to defuse a situation. So
that's why. Look,
you got their workload increase. Their safety diminished, and their pay is still the same, and inflation and all that. Like, that's crazy, man. Like, it's crazy situation, man.
Well, like I was trying to say, if you listen to these people, it's like believing masturbation is going to create a baby. So That's not going to work. And the second thing I wanted to talk about was these fucking truckers, man. He talking about industry, but I don't know if you've been paying attention, but the truckers been revolting with farmers,
Right.
I don't know. That's really important that they have farmers backing them because they deliver the farmers shit. So all this shit is going down, and they talking about you got to stay in the country for 5 days to deliver your load. Oh, you know that's bullshit. Let me tell you something. It ain't going down. It's going to be like a stubborn, prideful prostitute. It's not going to work. You know what I'm talking about? It ain't going to work. It's too much pride. You know, when a woman got way too much pride, she ain't going to prostitute herself. And that's what's going down because you got truckers, which is industry, infrastructure. And then you got the motherfucking farmers. How much infrastructure do you want? You want the construction workers to come? And then when they tried to break it up, they sent the tow trucks guys down there, and the tow truck guys joined the motherfucking thing. They end up joining them.
Right.
So let
Like,
me
you know,
tell you
because
something.
like they,
And
you know, these people.
this happened last fucking night. Last night.
They're making them push back. They're making them push back on the mandates and all that shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like people don't understand how much power these people have. Like, you don't get your shit if they don't deliver it. You know what I mean?
Don't be fucking with the
Like,
truckers,
and
man.
it don't just fuck with the common folk. It fuck with whole big businesses. You know what I mean? Big business.
You do not fuck
So
with
they can
Turnpike
shut down big business if they want to. So, like, you know, you ain't gonna be playing with these people.
Disrespect Turnpike motherfucking Ike. That's just a no-no. You won't get your goods. You won't get your goods. Keep fucking with Turnpike Ike. See what happens. Turnpike Ike shut you the fuck down. And he's dealing with the farmer. Oh no, you definitely ain't getting shit. You know what I'm talking about? What the fuck? Look, man, I'm telling you, this shit's gonna come to a head. This sex session is gonna come climax. Go motherfucking climax, bro. You hear me?
Yeah, like people is not playing about like, you know, about goods and service. Like that's like it's $1 billion industry, you know, and as long as they got people driving trucks and shit like that, you can't just push these people around, dog. You know what I'm saying?
Don't fuck with the truckers, bro. That's a no-no. That's why I made sure I'm a good trucker. So you don't fuck with no good fucking trucker, because that's a no-no. You know what I mean? And that's what they doing. Ask Justin Trudeau, the president of Canada. Ask his ass. That motherfucker crying in the corner talking about he got COVID. Hiding. He don't want to talk to them people. He's too scared. Because fear is the mind killer, and his mind is killed. Check it out. Google it. This happening right the fuck now. As I'm dropping.
Yeah, you seen all them thousands of trucks going up there, you know, and a lot of people came from the States and shit too, man.
Hey, Biden better wake the fuck up. Don't fuck with those truckers and farmers. You fuck with, oh man, how stupid does that fucking sound? It sounds so ignorant. You gotta be a real dumb motherfucker to do some shit like that.
Like, you know, it makes sense. Like, it makes sense, you know, when you think about all of the hell that, you know, these people have been catching off for the past couple of years, even like recently, you know, the chicken silos, like the farmers, they being told to, you know, to not grow food. You know, they getting paid to not grow food. You know, they get crazy high prices. Like, people come through, like, you know, they gotta meet regulations, and they tell them, you know, you gotta spend $500,000-$600,000 on this shit to be in regulation. So they keep these people broke. You know what I'm saying? And then like when you see shit like you see shit like hurricanes that beeline straight through the food supply and tear up the food for 200 miles and shit, where these people is, you know, spending their money to grow this shit for everybody. You know what I'm saying? they've been taking a lot of losses. So it's like, these things they look systematic. So
I will
aside from
tell you this.
you got
Might
people
have worked. It
that's
might have
down
worked.
to they, you know what I mean? They down to their last. So
It could have worked.
you going, that's how you react when you're back against the wall. You know what I'm saying?
It could have worked if they was just doing it to the black people. But they doing this to the white people. Oh, bro, guess what? It ain't going down. That bro hit that hoe will not put her head down. She will not be on her knees. Look. They could do this to the black people. I'm telling you. They've done it. They've done worse to the black farmers. But this is what they fucked up at. They fucking with them. They fucking with everybody. Everybody ain't no nigga, man. They gonna, man. I'm telling you, bro. You see what
Well,
the
I
fuck
mean, all of that.
These ain't niggas.
But you gotta think like you gotta think when these people is like they try when you got different groups of people, you can't treat everybody the same because then everybody has a common interest and a common enemy. So when you treat other people differently, we don't have the same goals and interests. So therefore, I don't have to align with you and your struggle and your plight until something happens that levels the playing field, so to speak. So now we can see that we have a common, enemy. You know what I'm saying? And that we at odds with a common, establishment. You know what I'm saying?
Adversary. And that's the reason why that's important, because Metman II, who took over Constantinople, which was an empire that lasted for 1,000 years, how did he do it? He got a coalition of everybody. Mongrels, he had Christians, he had Muslims, all together. They took them motherfuckers out. Okay? Hands down, they took them motherfuckers out. And that was it. The timing was too much instability in Constantinople. It was too much instability. They were fighting with the other side, the Eastern Roman Empire. And he's been ruling for 1,000 years as the Caesar. And his line was broken because he fucked up.
Now, look, I pointed this out earlier. I wanted to get your opinion on this. Now, you've been seeing like the people over in Korea like doing missile launches and shit again. And I kind of noticed like a pattern kind of developing. Like every time these dudes launch some missiles or whatever, or they test some missiles, some crazy shit start happening. They just said a superstorm is on its way to the East Coast. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you see like crazy shit happening in the news. I'm gonna just want to play this little clip real quick. Watch this.
We talk a lot about Ukraine today and Russia. We shouldn't forget that Xi Jinping is about to host an Olympics. You mentioned North Korea is now over half a dozen missiles have been fired since just the beginning of this year. The world's a dangerous place, and when America is not prepared to be resolved and do the right things to protect its interests, this is what authoritarian regimes do.
See what I'm saying?
I was in the meetings with Chairman Kim, probably more than anybody else. I was there with the president. We'd convinced him not to conduct long-range missile tests and not to conduct any more nuclear tests. He's now saying he's going to do some more nuclear testing. This is what happens when you lead from behind and you're not prepared to do things that matter. If you're sitting in Kansas or New Hampshire or in South Carolina or Florida, and you watch the United States walk away from these things, it has a real impact. If Ukraine goes wrong or North Korea goes wrong, we'll have higher energy prices, more instability, food will cost more. These things, what happens in Beijing or in Pyongyang or in Kyiv doesn't just stay in those places. It matters a lot to get foreign policy and national security right.
They always follow that shit, man.
I got reasons why it's happening. For one thing, people don't realize that China has been working with quantum physics, working on quantum computers and weather manipulation, and the Koreans been working on it too. The Koreans are probably the best in quantum physics. But also, what people don't realize is China, they already have hypersonic missile technology, and I'll put it to you this way: the North Koreans will have hypersonic missile technology before the United States. So that just kind of makes sense. I mean, the DF-12 rocket that they made off was like a Chinese knockoff. The Korean rocket that they made,
Right.
it was a knock. It was kind of like a Chinese knockoff of the DF-10. I'm just saying, I kind of pay attention to that kind of stuff. And then, the Russians, they got hypersonic technology, and they shared it with the Chinese, and the Chinese are eventually going to share it with. That's why the North Koreans got nuclear submarines. They got, I think, 2 so far, and the Chinese, they're working on 2 more. But those missiles that would take out an aircraft carrier, no problem. So they keep fucking around. The Chinese got a game for them. The Chinese got allies, and all of a sudden, it's funny how all this Ukraine shit happened, and then North Korea was like, "Oh, let's shoot the missiles." They buddies with China. I mean, I don't know if people knows that they're like literally share a border.
Listen to this shit that I was listening to on the radio and shit. I snatched this shit off the radio. Listen to what they're saying about this Russia-Ukraine situation.
To the Russian threat against Ukraine. Now, these deployments that we know about will include about 2,000 U.S. troops to Poland and an additional few thousand to southeastern NATO.
See how they throwing U.S. in the mix?
Romania. So 2,000 in this deployment, but still several more thousand U.S. troops remain on heightened alert. President Putin has accused the United States of ignoring his country's security needs after demands to keep Ukraine out of NATO were rejected. The Russian president also suggesting a potential invasion of Ukraine is not imminent and another round of diplomacy is likely, but still 100,000 troops are assembled along Russia's border with Ukraine. The Secretary of State, Tony Blinken, spoke on the phone with his Russian counterpart yesterday. The White House says Presidents Biden and Putin could speak themselves sometime soon. I know.
Sneaky ass Saxons.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the Russians. What people don't understand, that Eastern Europeans are considered Saxons, and that's what the Russians call them, the evil Saxons. For real. Let's just see it. I mean, it was a couple times that they actually said evil Saxons, and it was like a couple years ago. But they don't look at them as white people. They like them some other things. But you can tell.
You see how they throwing U.S. in the mix. You see how they throwing U.S. in the mix. Now they try to eventually they're gonna have some shit brewing between the U.S. and Russia. You know what I mean? Now
they ain't ready. They ain't ready.
And they've been kind of grooming people with that shit, with the media and shit. Even like you look at like the bag of Doritos in the store, that shit got one side Russia, one side U.S. Cold War. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you see a lot of the shit that they grooming you for that shit. You know what I mean? So every time it's like Russia in the story, like they making them to be the bad guy, and then America gotta move to do some shit because you know what I mean? These motherfuckers is tripping.
They don't have a choice. And if you think of it this way, you gotta look at it from both sides. Right now, they showed a lot of weakness by breaking down in Afghanistan. So they have to muscle up because they're losing power and influence all over the Middle East and in Asia. In Russia, they already told them we got some hypersonic missiles. We found out that y'all did some tests that failed because y'all have some bad faulty electrical software issues to keep the missile stable. But we already figured that shit out. Oh, and by the way, the Chinese got the information too. Oh, and just to put some icing on the cake, they might tell the North Koreans and those some hood ass motherfuckers because they don't give a fuck. And right now, yeah, it's not a good place. And the U.S. is actually the reason why they're doing this is because they have to start a war to get out of this fucking sunken place. They're in a sunken place. That's how they got out of the depression. Biden is a dumb motherfucker. He's like, well, we just need to start a war and just reap all the the booty. We need to get some war booty, steal the resources from the country, and if we can steal from Russia, man, we'll be we'll be great forever, man. We'll be rich for another 70 years if we could take over Russia. They're actually thinking like this, man. They're fucking crazy, man. Like, seriously. They think they can take Russia out. And if they do take Russia out, fine. What about China? Oh, and what about Iran? Oh, and by the way, what about Turkey? Turkey, they got nuclear weapons. They'll turn, man, if shit goes down like that, they might say fuck Europe, because they already, the Turkish people, you know, Aragon, he got this border filled with a horde of fucking immigrants, like zombies. He opened that gate to Europe, they fuck, man. Like, it's like they fuck from all fucking sides, man. If I was a white European political leader, I'd be like, oh shit. And then I don't know if you know, was it Mali? They cut all diplomatic ties with France, all of them. And then they said the French ambassador has 72 hours to get the fuck out of the country. It's either Mali or no, it's Mali. It's Mali. Or Boko Faso. But one of those countries, the African countries, they cut this shit off. It's happening. It's happening like right now, man. Like all this shit is happening. Europeans are getting their funds cut. All the bloodlines that they can suck from are being cut, man. Niggas think everything is going wrong, but it's going wrong for them, not for us. Right now is perfect opportunity to capitalize on these broken evil Europeans. Yeah, that's a nice way of saying it, right? Wasn't that real? That was really nice, wasn't it? It wasn't offensive at all, was it?
You know, and these motherfuckers, they ain't never gonna stop with they deception and bullshit. That's why you gotta get hip to it so you can sidestep the shit and move forward. You know what I mean? Because
look, as long as they don't have more power than us, they can be as nasty as they want. Oh! They can be as nasty as they want. As long as they don't have no power over me or us or our team, we get our team strong, they be nasty. We'll be like, we can laugh at them. We can laugh at them. We should be laughing at them. We should be in a position where we have our own and we're fully established, each black man fully established, and looking at these Europeans like, man, let's work together.
You know, like that's for the people that, you know, that's willing to go off the grid too. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, look,
like,
I ain't talking about them
like
other
you know, a lot of people they got an installation and you know they plugged in. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like look what this this bull look what this bull is showing right here. Look.
That's from the Moderna vaccine.
Okay, Moderna. Is it the same for Pfizer and all of the others?
All right, guys, we're running out of time. But I need to tell you something. Everyone needs to know. You see all these cases? They all got tablets in them. And every single one of these tablets has all of our information in them. Every single person that got the vaccine, your data is stored in these tablets, and they will control you. Stay woke.
I kind of question the validity of that because I think you should be skeptical of everything, even the things that we say. You know, you should always be skeptical. You know what I'm saying? But then again, you don't want to I don't put nothing past these motherfuckers. You know what I mean? So it's like,
you ever heard of this guy named Snowden, Edward Snowden? You ever heard of him?
Yeah, everybody should know who that is.
So why wouldn't this be why would this be impossible? Why would that be impossible if we know what happened with Snowden and it's still happening? Not happen, happening. So why would you even think about that not being fake? These are not good people.
Yeah, man, like this shit is crazy. Like even like these motherfuckers is like fucking with kids and shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
look, you can't say look, like that Rick Ross song said. Not everybody gonna make it. You need to concentrate on the people that's gonna make it, because
Yeah,
if you
the people it's like, you know, they people be brainwashed and shit. Like remember the
if you help the people that can make it, they might be able to be the ones that can help the person that you can't help. So that's why you should always work on your infrastructure on anything that you do. People
yeah,
over
you gotta work on it. You gotta protect them kids. You gotta, because you can't let their minds get tainted and shit. You know what I mean? A lot of people are trying to like deprogram themselves from all the indoctrination that, you know, we took in growing up from children to now and shit. So it's like you gotta think like, damn, you don't want your children to go through the same shit. You know, so
No,
you gotta prepare your children to navigate the potholes that you wish that you should have. You know what I mean? And
you
that
got
goes with everything. You know,
you gotta
not just finances. You know what I'm saying? Like these people is out here, they out here after your kids, man. You know what I'm
you have
saying? Like
to
even when you think about that word kids is baby goats. You know what I mean? Sacrificial goats on the altar. You know what I mean? Even the word child, even the word children. You know, child means shield. You know, like Rothschild. You know, shield. Like when you protect yourself, or they offer their children up for sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? For prosperity and shit like that. You know what I mean? So there's
the
a lot
shield
of sacrifice shit that goes into kids. You know what I mean?
the
And people using
children
children as human shields.
the
You know what
shield
I'm saying?
the reason why they're saying shield is because the children are the shield of your bloodline. Your bloodline cannot go on without the shield. Hey, don't that make sense? So you got to protect it. That's why you can't be distracted with everything else. You got to make sure.
Look what this boy was saying. Look, I snatched this video clip of this boy talking about kids. Remember the boy, Dr. Ben or whatever his name is? The boy who was like, he was running for president, black boy.
Dr. Ben Carson, the
Right.
neurosurgeon.
Right. Listen to what this dude say right here.
Now, Dr. Ben Carson is with us. Your initial reaction first as a medical doctor to these reports we've been reporting on, and we have our investigative report from the border tonight, the perilous journey of these unaccompanied minors, the violence that often takes place, the rape that has taken place. Now it's taken place, as Governor Abbott has described. They've tried to keep his child protective services from seeing these kids. Now that they're seeing them, now they're reporting these atrocities are happening. Your reaction as a medical doctor, sir?
Well, having spent almost my entire professional career dealing with children and the issues of children, obviously it breaks my heart to see these children being treated this way. And I don't know that anybody really cares that much. You know, they're being used as pawns, like so many of us are being used in this effort to divide this country. You know, I think it's going at a very macro level. You have to remember about 60 years ago, Nikita Khrushchev said, your children's children will live under communism and we won't have to fire a shot. You know, what was he talking about? He was talking about the ability to gain control of our educational system so you can indoctrinate the kids, gain control of the media so that you could spoon feed the people only what you wanted them to hear, exclude the things you didn't want them to hear. He was talking about replacing God and confidence in God with government. He was talking about raising the debt to such incredible levels that you could justify massive taxation, redistribution of wealth, and complete control by the government. We need to wake up. We need to go back and read some of the stuff that was going on decades ago when people were predicting what was going to happen, and we need to thwart it. And the best way to thwart it is to recognize that this is the United States of America.
Well, let me ask you
and we have to recognize those who are trying to divide us.
We have states like Delaware, New York, and Colorado that have far more restrictive voting laws than the new law in Georgia. But that didn't stop Joe Biden from now numerous times referring to it.
I ain't getting all into that.
What the fuck was he talking about, bro?
Yeah, you see, he tried to steer that shit.
Like we're talking about immigrants, right? coming over to the country and their children being abused. And he's up there, this nigga talking about the rule of law and how people trying to divide us and we need to be harder on. He don't give a fuck about. He said, and then he said, I don't think nobody really works. You don't think nobody really cares because you don't. That nigga is crazy.
And he said they're using these kids like pawns. You know what I'm saying?
He's doing it too. He don't give
of course.
a fuck about them kids. He could be doing some kind of thing down there, but because he's the secretary, what is he, housing or something?
I don't know. I know he's into like neuroscience and shit. So he should be wondering about, why they want to jab kids and all that. You know what I'm saying?
No, he's all a part of that. Because guess what? Check this out. This is really interesting. This motherfucker used to be in housing in the Trump administration, right? He used to do the housing thing. He gets out, right? Now we have a housing crisis, and those immigrants, they have a housing crisis too. You think he gives a fuck? No. He's a
But like
sociopath.
that shit that he said about that indoctrination shit, that, you know what I'm saying, like that's the shit that's happening right now. That shit is real. You know what I'm saying? Like, see, there's a lot of fluff in there, but it was some real shit in between that shit. And that's the shit that I wanted to
There's two doctrines. There's the Republican doctrine, and then there's the Democratic doctrine. There's only two doctrines. Which one you want to follow? He said you need to follow his.
Two sides of the same coin, man. You see the boy, Devil Hannity. He go right into his whole rhetoric about Joe Biden us some time. You know what I'm saying? I heard what's the name said that he wished Trump came back. Charlemagne, you heard that?
Mm-hmm.
I remember Charlemagne had him on TV, and
I've
and
already
he said
told
to him,
you this is going to happen.
remember he said to him, he said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. And he let him say that to him on the show, and now he talking about he wish that Trump came back and shit.
I know. I told you this was
that these motherfuckers is talking about with these kids. I snatched the shit off the radio.
Pfizer and partner BioNTech are now in the process of submitting clinical trial data to the FDA. They're looking for the agency to amend the emergency use authorization that's on the books so that kids between 6 months and 4 years old can get their shots. We're talking about 19 million kids, part of this only age group left that is not yet eligible to be vaccinated. It would be 2 doses to start. Studies on a possible 3rd dose need to be completed, and each dose is 3 micrograms, which is 1/10 of what adults get. As for what the timeline looks like, the FDA says its vaccine advisory panel will be meeting on February 15th. And so if the FDA gives the okay, this may be added to the CDC's vaccine advisors' previously scheduled meeting on February 23rd and 24th. Then the head of the CDC would make her decision soon after. Pfizer and partner BioNTech, they're in this rolling submission process. They're going to be regularly sending data to the FDA. Now, Dr. Paul Offit of Children's Hospital of Philadelphia is on the panel.
I can tell you, everybody that sits around the table at the FDA Vaccine Advisory Committee is a skeptic, and we're not going to approve this until we're comfortable that we would give it to our own children or our own grandchildren.
They ain't giving it to their own
kids. The CDC's vaccine advisors will then meet. They have a meeting scheduled for February 23rd and 24th, Carol. Of course, this is not yet on the agenda. It's still a wait and see. And after all this, the CDC director, Dr. Rochelle Walensky, will make a decision.
Health experts say that pediatric infections still remain extremely high, even though cases are dropping. But just last week, 108,000 kids tested positive for COVID.
Now, if cases are dropping, why y'all trying to push, these kids getting this shit? You know what I mean?
Because you know what CDC stands for? Center of Disease Control. They're controlling this disease, okay?
Right.
Oh, damn, ain't that fucked up? So they're controlling the disease. There's a military virus that's been controlled by these motherfuckers. They actually built it in their lab and they threw it over in China.
That's you go ahead. I mean, look.
Look.
This
Go
shit,
ahead and drink that water if you want.
this shit is like, this shit ain't no joke, man. Like,
You go ahead and get that to
it ain't no
yourself.
joke. Like
You go ahead and get that.
right now they talking about they got a blood shortage and shit. You know what I mean? Like
Nigga.
because they've been turning people away that that got that situation and shit. And like, we gotta watch them hot words, like, you know what I'm saying? Because that's how they be snatching us down off of John. Like, we can't just be saying, we gotta dance around that. You know what I'm saying? So
Well, like I said, you heard what Snowden said. They still got that technology. They ain't just throw it in the trash.
yeah, so we gotta dance around them words, brother. You know what I'm saying? But like, you know, look at this video clip right here. Like, that is people in the hospital.
So after 87,000 views in 48 hours, they decided to ban what I showed you guys the sheets on. This is the Abbott BioNX Now COVID-19 test that they use on everybody. These swabs have ethylene oxide, sterilized, ethylene carbonate, sterilized. These right here are carcinogenic. EOEC. They are carcinogenic. They are deemed illegal to use on humans. Period. By the CDC and the FDA. Here's a card. What's gonna get everybody?
I can't hear.
Because you already seen this, most of you guys. Right? Is this next packet in here I'm gonna show you. But here's this sheet supposed to go out with any test that they give you. They're supposed to rip one off. Front and back, they're the same thing. I'll show you over here just to where you believe it. It goes through the whole fucking book, same exact thing. Repeats itself. Right. This is the...
Nah, I've been saying that, this carcinogenic, sterilization process that they do to sterilize medical equipment, that shit can cause, flu-like symptoms. You know what I'm saying?
That's from the Moderna vaccine.
Okay, Moderna. Is it the same for Pfizer and all of the others?
No, each brand is a little different.
Okay. So may I take this with me to look at all of the safety studies, placebo safety studies on this?
Yeah, because the one that we give, because the one that's given to patients doesn't contain that information. So that.
Which one are they giving if it's not this one?
So no, that's the one. That is the one we are giving.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, the package insert given to patients isn't the full information.
So it's not from the manufacturer themselves.
That is from the manufacturer, but it's truncated. That's the full thing.
So why is it intentionally blank if it's all the safety studies and stuff?
They're inside.
They're inside of it?
This folds out.
Okay.
This supposedly folds out. I've got to get online and find it.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I already know that it's intentionally blank. My last question is, how is it informed consent when all of the safety studies, placebo safety studies, are not listed for the manufacturer?
That's a good question. I would talk to CVS about that because.
Okay. So if we don't know what we're injecting into ourselves, I don't understand how that's informed consent.
That you're exactly right.
Okay.
And you're exactly right.
Yeah.
And you are correct. I should not be giving these vaccines at all.
Okay. Oh, why are you giving them?
Because I am told to, and that's how. Because I am told to, and I am told.
I understand that.
And everything I have shown, including the patients that I have given it to, it is safe.
It is safe and effective. What studies are you going by that states that it's safe and effective? I know these are tough questions, but I have to ask.
I know, and I'm sorry that.
But you can't answer. So I understand that.
I unfortunately cannot answer that,
okay.
And I feel it. And right now I'm feeling.
Yo, I just noticed something. You ever notice how when those doctors be talking, like the guy doctors, and they be talking, and once you start questioning their authority, just like in this one, his voice changed. He started sounding real feminine, and he started ending his sentences with a real high pitch. Eh? Like, eh?
Yep, they doing that NLP, that neural
Yeah,
linguistic programming. You know what I mean?
it's like some kind of
So
subliminal.
they start hooking their tentacles into you, and
Right.
then everything that they say and just sound like it makes sense. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
oh.
Mm-hmm. And black people
Well,
don't
today
talk like that.
we're gonna just take a couple of vials of your blood, and then we're just gonna just flush it down the toilet, and then it's gonna be
Yeah.
all done.
It gonna be done?
And you're like, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a happy white person. I can listen to this person. I'm not used to this culture, but I guess this person seems happy. I'm gonna listen to this also. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It'd be that stupid, bro. It'd be that stupid. It really be that stupid because people are subliminal monsters. They're subliminal monsters. They work all on subliminals with black code. So I mean, they have a whole subculture of master talk. They'll talk to a black person and be talking to them and have that black person shuffling around holding their hat. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about, bro? You be holding your orange hat talking about, yeah, okay. Oh, I don't want to. Oh, this, I gotta pull my A game. I'm talking to, you know how it be. I mean, I was raised last century, so.
Right. Look how these motherfuckers be. Look at
Joe Rogan has responded to the backlash he has received over the spread of COVID misinformation on his podcast.
If there's anything that I've done that I could do better is have more experts with differing opinions right after I have the controversial ones. My pledge to you is that I will do my best to try to balance out these more controversial viewpoints with other people's perspectives so we can maybe find a better point of view. I don't want to just show the contrary opinion to what the narrative is. I want to show all kinds of opinions.
This comes after several artists pulled their content from Spotify, prompting the platform to add a content advisory warning to any podcast that feature discussion about the pandemic. Joining us now, cultural commentator and author of 0 O'Clock, CJ Farley, and CNN political commentator S.E. Cupp is back with us. CJ, Neil Young, Joni Mitchell, Nils Lofgren, did these, forgive me, did these hippie artists affect the kind of change that they were after here by saying we don't want our music alongside Joe Rogan?
You see how he did?
The 60s are still alive. Yes, they did. They seem to really influence Spotify, Joe Rogan, to come out and say something. They didn't say much, but they did say something about what's going on because I think they may have underestimated the power of Neil Young and Joni Mitchell. Back when I was a music critic, I actually talked to Neil Young and to Joni Mitchell. But one thing I found really interesting is that how much other artists would talk to me about Joni Mitchell and Neil Young. They are among the most cited musicians in terms of people saying they influenced their work. So when they came out and said, hey, there's something about Joe Rogan's podcast, take a look at it. I think a lot of other musicians, a lot of other fans really took notice of it. And now Spotify and Joe Rogan are taking notice of it too.
I wonder, Essie, what you thought about this apology. I personally found it very interesting.
Well, listen, I don't think Spotify took a hit to its bottom line, but it's taking a hit to its brand. And I think that's what prompted Joe Rogan to respond. Obviously, he's got his $100 million and he's going to be fine for now. But listen, I think Spotify ultimately did the right thing here in publishing its rules for creators. It was kind of the wild, wild west before. And also what will happen to creators if they break the rules. And two of those rules are publishing dangerous information and disinformation. And Joe Rogan sort of addressed that and what he'll try to do to, I think he said, balance that. But the question will become for Spotify, why publish or platform dangerous information or disinformation at all? And again, if that comes up against their bottom line or their brand, as it is a little now, they might have to really take that question on in a more full-throated way than they have.
I don't pretend to understand business and, bottom lines and things like that, CJ. But what I do know is I can smell fear. I don't think Spotify ultimately cared about not having Neil Young. They can be fine without Neil Young or Joni Mitchell, as great as the music is, but clearly they feared something bigger than Neil Young and Joni Mitchell. What would that be?
Yeah, here's the thing, they haven't really done much. I think they wanted to respond quickly to act like they were engaged. But the statement that Joe Rogan put out, it's interesting that he actually, in a statement that was supposed to be about how he was going to combat misinformation on his platform in the future, he got a key fact wrong. He cited the song that he attributed to Joni Mitchell that Joni Mitchell didn't sing, Chucky's in Love. So that's a problem. I think they've got to do more. I think just saying we have a content advisory, just publishing your platform rules, just saying, okay, we're going to try to do better in the future and test some things out is maybe enough to help stall the news cycle, but it won't be enough to really give people confidence in what people are saying on the platform in the future.
But CJ, if he's promising that he'll balance views, one, do you take him at his word? And two, what does that need to look like to actually be effective?
Well, it should look like journalism. That's part of the problem here, is that there are only people who are doing the work of journalists and don't want to accept the responsibility of journalists. That's kind of like a doctor, kind of like someone scrubbing in and doing an appendix operation and not wanting to wash their hands, and then saying, well, I'm not really a doctor, so I don't need to do that. No, you got to scrub in. You got to do the job.
And they ain't
doctors. Take on the
doctors.
responsibilities of the job too, and that means balancing
They
who
all
you're
tell you to
talking to. That means
jacked.
checking your facts. That means being responsible about the misinformation
But
or information
nobody
that you
can
put
tell
in your
you
podcast.
to
You're a
have natural
journalist, whether
remedies.
you want to say so or not, and you've got to take
They're
on
gonna
those
look like
responsibilities.
donkeys.
I think
see the
Joe Rogan would
bullshit?
say he's not anything close to being a journalist.
He's not a journalist.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't aspire to be, which is part of the problem here. Is the definition of what he's doing
That's
and
the
how
bullshit,
people listen
man.
to him. So, did he blink? SE did Spotify blink here, and does it matter?
He does this. He does this occasionally when there's a backlash to something he has said about COVID, for example. He'll say, "I'm not a doctor," and I want. He says it after the fact, and then he goes on to say more things that are untrue. But listen, he's not a journalist,
Now how they
and
gonna
we
say
shouldn't
that?
view him in
This
that
is
way,
crazy,
the way we
man.
don't view
You
Tucker
see
Carlson
how
as a
she just
journalist.
said,
Tucker
"Are you
Carlson's
wrong?"
own lawyers, right, at Fox News said no one should take him as factual. This is entertainment. That's the content label people like Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson should come with. This is entertainment.
The
This
news
isn't
falls under
journalism.
entertainment.
And rather
CNN
than
falls
bending
under
it
entertainment.
to fit into journalism, which I
You know what I'm
think is a
saying?
lost cause
These
and
people can give
maybe
you
even a
medical
dangerous
advice,
one,
ain't none of them
we should
doctors,
allow
right?
them to
Wait a
just
minute,
be
is this
entertainers.
CNN?
And that doesn't mean they get to spew nonsense and disinformation
Is this
without
CNN?
warnings
You
and fact checking.
nonsense.
But these
All
are
right,
not
look,
journalists. We shouldn't make them pretend to be.
This is
60s
CNN,
are
right?
back. The
Right.
sign said
Didn't
long-haired
Joe
freaky
Rogan
people
whip
need
their
not
ass?
apply.
Exactly.
CJ, thank you both very much. Appreciate it.
I rest my case.
All
I
right.
rest my case. Joe Rogan whipped their ass. He had Gupta up on that show, and Gupta fucked up. You saw he had him looking. He had
Right.
him on there for 3 hours, man. That was
And,
like,
and they producing some of the lowest ratings that they ever put out ever. Like, it's like people on YouTube, they get more views than CNN. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I've
so
been
it's
paying
like,
attention to that myself. I noticed it
yeah,
myself.
they on the downward slope. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Man,
but
they got child molesters as producers. I mean, it's a fact. They won't tell you that much.
but
You know?
you see how you see how like they constantly with their bullshit. Like you read between the lines of what they saying. Now they telling you that you can't talk about home remedies. You know what I'm saying? You can't talk about natural remedies. But these people who ain't doctors, and even like people who's Gupta, who is a doctor, violating the Nuremberg Code, you know what I'm saying? Are just telling you to take something, without giving you the pros and cons of it. You know what I'm saying? They're supposed to be neutral. They ain't supposed to just be telling you to just do shit. You know what I'm saying? And
He was
people,
asking them some questions that he couldn't answer.
it's just like if I'm at the light and I flag somebody and tell them to come on and they get in an accident that person can hold me accountable because I'm not a traffic person. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a one of them people. So you ain't supposed to be out there doing somebody else's job. So
Well,
the
I
same
tell
thing
you
with
one
me.
thing.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all out here giving out medical advice, but ain't none of y'all doctors.
There's only one problem. Joe Rogan is a true debater. He's a true debater. If you ever look at one of his podcasts, he's a true debater. He'll go down to the truth. And you can even see like on some of his shows, he actually believed one way. But after seeing the facts, he literally changed his whole mindset on how he thought because he was like, I didn't know this was I thought this was this. So and then he's like, oh, that's the proof right there. And then like bam, like this motherfucker really learns. Like the people he talked to, he ain't
Right,
no dumb motherfucker anymore. He can't be no dumb motherfucker. He
right.
talked with Elon Musk personally and smoked with the motherfucker. Yo, let me tell you something. Look. Joe Rogan, when he said what he said, he was as honest as he can humanly be, and I sense true honesty in his voice, and because like he saw what he did to CNN, and he's like, I don't want these motherfuckers, because like he said, even though he said he apologized for all that stuff, but he still said he's going to show both sides, because like Rick
Mm-hmm.
Ross always say, you got to see things from both sides. If not, you just a cyclops motherfucker. That's all was to it, bro. There ain't nothing else on that one.
Right. And that's why Bill Gates said that they should treat the new variant like the flu. You know what I'm saying?
Mm. These motherfuckers can't learn. They can't learn. People gotta understand who the fuck they're dealing with. They gotta understand who the fuck this motherfucker is. And if they did, they would
Look,
know
I got this old video. Gunther on, talking about different kind of tests and shit. You know what I mean? Now, mind you, they having a blood shortage right now because a lot of people who got the situation is being turned away from donating blood. You know what I'm saying?
Different tests that we are all becoming familiar with.
Gonna put a tight squeeze on you over here, okay?
There are two different tests that we are all becoming familiar with. A diagnostic test that searches for the genetic markers of the coronavirus, and this one that tests for
Yeah,
antibodies.
that was a light joint. Remember back when they were sticking that
First
joint
thing you'll
all the
notice
way
is
down
that the
people's
antibody
nose?
test requires blood. For me, it was just a poke.
And just like
Well,
that,
he
we're all good.
disappeared for a
But
minute.
then look at
You
all
know
the
what I'm saying? This
steps
is
that
early
take place
on.
after that. My blood is taken down to the lab and then spun down in a centrifuge. You're looking at my serum. That's the clear part that might contain antibodies if I have been previously exposed. The way to find that out is fascinating. Just take some of my serum
Now
and put
they
it in
doing
the same
antibody
test tube as
tests,
the virus
and you can
and
go
see what
to
happens.
If you
your
have
doctor, your
antibodies
healthcare
against
provider,
that,
and get a
they're going to
monoclonal
bind and we're going to be able
antibody
to detect
infusion.
that.
You know what I'm
Dr. John
saying?
Roback is the medical director of the
Now
blood bank at Emory University
that's what
Hospital
Joe
in
Rogan got.
Atlanta, where I practice as a
So
neurosurgeon.
so what
I was
what
able to
what?
get this test because I'm
Where's
still
the lie
working as a
at? Like
doctor at Emory,
what did he
and
say
healthcare
that
workers are
was wrong?
considered to be at high risk for COVID-19. Now, this particular test, approved under FDA emergency authorization at Emory, was developed by Roback and his colleagues. Right now, they test up to 300 people a day. By mid-June, they expect to be processing thousands a day. It's far more sophisticated than the tests you may have heard of recently. What do you make of these at-home tests for antibodies?
I don't think that they can achieve the sorts of performance characteristics we can
Look at this
with these
dude
tests
face.
that
Why
we
is he
have
blinking like
in our
that?
clinical laboratory. We have a lot better control over the
He
testing
like he
conditions,
drinking the blood
over
or
the
something.
sample
Like
that
something
was
wrong with that
collected.
dude. Man.
Here's what happens in your body when you're infected. The blue line, that's how long the virus typically lives inside of you. Take a look at the green line. Early on, IgM antibodies appear, but they disappear shortly after. And then the red line, that's the IgG antibody. That's the one that appears
Dude
after
is
the
a piece of
infection is
crap.
cleared and might
To
provide immunity.
Instagram antibody.
For just how long, how strong, that we don't know yet. We do know that for other coronaviruses like SARS, antibodies lasted 2 to 3 years, and MERS, the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, had antibody presence of about 3 years. But with this new coronavirus, it's still too early to tell. And in order to answer the question,
Now, mind you, this
researchers are
was
going to
early on.
focus
This was
on
like
this
2 years
term,
ago.
neutralizing activity. You see, it doesn't
Well,
necessarily
You see how
I
they
matter
gotta do
using the
this
how
purple and
many
the
computer thing
gold?
real
antibodies
quick.
you have.
See you
It
see how
really
they
So,
use the
matters
purple and the
how
gold? That
well they
was the
work at
Kobe
keeping the
colors. You know
virus
what
from
I'm saying?
entering a human cell.
And that's the
And
crown.
that
That's
can
the
vary
royal colors.
from person
The
to person.
crown's poison.
It's
You know what I'm
fascinating
saying?
that not everybody that
The
has
novel
high levels of
coronavirus.
antibodies on the test we're doing now
That's why they got the
actually have
purple and
very
gold
much
right here on the
neutralizing
side and shit.
activity. That those
You know?
antibodies might still be
Look at my
there,
man blinking
but
all
it
crazy.
causes us to
mm.
pause a little bit before we just categorically say if you have high antibodies
Well,
you're immune.
What is the
But
real
you know
what
that
finding
they
of
that's
this
if
they
test?
that's that
I
purple
think if you
symbolism that they using.
if you're
You know what I'm
positive
saying?
on this test, it
Purple and
indicates
gold
you've
is
been
MK
exposed. That
Ultra's
can give you a
colors
little
too.
bit
You
of
know what
peace
I
of
mean?
mind. I think that
They brainwashing
that
people. You know what I'm
the
saying?
cough I had 2 weeks ago, that was really
Look at him.
COVID-19. It could
the red pill,
indicate
I
that
gotta go.
some of your close contacts should be tested.
But perhaps most importantly, Dr.
But
Roback told me something I hadn't really
all this
considered
stuff
before.
coming to a
That
head.
if you test positive for the antibodies, that means you've dealt with this infection and you beat it.
I gotta
And
check
chances
out.
are that if you're exposed to it again, you'll beat it again. As for me, that
Well,
part is still an open question mark.
Now,
I
all right,
tested
now you
negative.
see that how they said that, right? So why they not
What are your
pushing
big
immunity?
takeaways after undergoing this antibody test?
Why they just telling people to get
I was trying to
the
understand the
installation?
justification right now. Everyone says you get the antibody
they're
test to
trying to
find out
force
if
people
essentially
into
you're immune to
doing
this.
something they don't
We
want to
can't
do.
say that yet. Those
Exactly.
studies still need to be
They're trying
done.
to control it.
So is there any merit in really getting this test done? And I think it was that
It's
last
all
thing that really
volunteer.
sort of struck me. If you do have
Volunteer.
antibodies, you may not have even known that you had the infection, or maybe you had some cold-like symptoms earlier.
All up to
The fact
you.
that you beat it already,
I can prove
even if
that.
you're not immune to it, means that if you are exposed to it again, you could beat it again. I think that was the point he was making. I think that it's a peace of mind,
I'm
Jake,
gonna
at
have to
this point.
check
Hopefully, we
out.
get the studies proving you
I'm
have
gonna have to catch
immunity,
up with you next
but in the
time,
meantime,
bro.
there may still be some merit.
I gotta get back on this thing.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'm gonna take out in a little bit, but yeah, I'm gonna call whenever you do the show back. Just give me a call. We're gonna go through this again.
Mm-hmm.
But the trucker thing is real. People need to be more aware of what's going on and sharpen themselves because shit is happening. Just be ready for anything. Be war ready because it's happening. And that's from Rick Ross himself. So that's how I'm gonna leave it there.
Mm-hmm.
Power.
All right, power. You know, all this shit is predicated malevolence, man. You know, that video was from like 2 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Rick for coming through. You know what I'm saying? But you see, they've been talking about antibodies and shit like that, and so why is they trying to force you to do something against your will? You know what I'm saying? You know, now being as though that this is Thursday, let's do some throwback shit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna take you back to 2 years ago. You know what I mean? And show you this little clip that I had from my archives that I I couldn't post at the time because it was like really life was really crazy. You know what I'm saying? It still is, but whatever.
Coincidence coincides cooperatively. You know what I'm saying?
Look
All
at
that
this
good
shit.
stuff we've been over before. But would you look at this right here? So, in the midst of all of this coronavirus, outbreak, type shit, look at what's trending on Google Play Store and as a recommended game. Let's click on it here. Play.
This is
What type of
February
shit
of
is this?
2020.
As soon as I go to the Play Store, this game or whatever is sitting right up here. So what is this game about? Can you infect the world? What? What? Can you infect the world? Plague Inc. is a uniquely mix of high
This is
strategy and
February
terrifying
2020.
realistic simulations. Your pathogen just infected patient zero. Now you must bring about the end of human history by involving a deadly global plague with adapting against everything humanity can do to defend itself. Now I know I probably sounded retarded when I read that, but give me a break. I'm half asleep. But this is crazy right here. We'll probably do this over, so this probably won't even make it to this. But
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like that. Now that was a little video that I had from 2 years ago that I was laying in my bed and I got this notification early in the morning, and I just screen recorded it and then it got lost in the sauce. But is that a coincidence? Is that kind of strange that why would somebody even make a video game like that anyway? You know what I'm saying? Like that's crazy. Like can we have that discussion? Like that shit was crazy, yo. It's a lot of shit going on. Like the news, you know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy shit going on. I don't see what else we got over here that we can chop up real quick.
Man taken into custody led police on a chase in a stolen car before he was taken into custody in the Lawncrest neighborhood.
And this right
Tuesday
here,
night, the big story on Action News is the breaking new details on this case.
Just moments ago, police identified the suspect. And Action News reporter Jillian Maley joins us with an update tonight. Jillian.
Now, I'm going to just pay attention, man.
That's right. Good evening. And this press conference is still going on. We have a crew inside right now. I just ran out to be able to give you this report. So this is the latest carjacking here in the city of Philadelphia. Let's take you to some video and show you what the scene was like last night when this suspect, we now have learned 30-year-old Samuel Francis Ferrero of North 3rd Street in Philadelphia, was arrested after a wild chase came to an end on the 5700 block of Tabor Avenue. This happening in Longcrest. Now, we have other video of the chase while this was going on, and this started around 8:30 in East Oak Lane when a stolen Kia Sorento was spotted by police. The driver of that Kia went on to rear-end a 36-year-old woman who was driving a Lexus. The suspect pulled her out of her vehicle and stole that Lexus near the intersection of Crescentville Road and Adams Avenue in Longcrest. Philadelphia police just spoke about this a minute ago. Take a listen to what they had to say.
I believe he pulled open the door and just ripped her out of the car, and I saw her rolling on the ground, and then he jumped.
And he saw her rolling on the ground.
That's right. So a short time later, he crashed the Lexus, fled on foot. That's when police were able to arrest him. Now, you're wondering, how does Cherry Hill, New Jersey play into this? We're going to show you, because that original Kia that we mentioned, according to police, that was stolen from this Kia dealership in Cherry Hill last Thursday night in a brazen carjacking. Take a listen to police there.
Someone had taken a test drive with one of their employees, and during that test drive on the way back, they pulled into a lot nearby. The individual that was with him in the vehicle said, "Hey, I have a weapon. You need to get out of the car."
When you test drive a vehicle, you have to provide identification.
This is correct.
Good question.
I would, venture to say that the identification was provided may not have been the individual. Exactly. May have been someone at similar stature, similar look, but we don't believe it's the same exact individual that was involved.
Really?
Yes.
So do you think it was a stolen ID?
It could be, sure.
Yeah.
So look, there are still a lot of questions that remain at this hour. We did just talk to Philadelphia police, and they say they have reason to believe that the same person is responsible for both of these carjackings. Just before we came on air, I checked with Cherry Hill police. They say they have not filed any charges yet. For now, we are reporting live here. I'm Jillian Mealy for Channel 6 Action News.
Man.
Yeah, pretty.
Come on. Come on, man. That sound like some bullshit. Cause how does somebody go to? So all right, you telling me that a dude stole somebody's ID that looked like him, right? Allegedly, he goes to the Kia dealership, right, and he asks to test drive a car with the fake ID, right? They run it, they make a copy of it, and then they go and take him on a test drive. And then on the way back, he pulled a hammer out and steals the rental car, steals the car. Get the fuck out of here. Then he drives, so he steals the car. He come all the way over here, bang the car out, steal another car, bang that car out, and then flee on foot. What was the purpose of all of that? Just to get booked, and then it's like, all right, y'all know who this person is, but how he had it, you know what I'm saying? Like how y'all, this shit just don't even make sense. Y'all knew who y'all know who this person is, right? But this person gave a fake ID at the dealership in Jersey. You know, these motherfuckers, they just be arrogantly just lying to your face, yo. Like, that's why I be telling y'all, like, you can't trust the shit that be on the fucking news, man. Like, these motherfuckers really just be wilding. Like, they just say whatever, yo. This shit is crazy.
What's being done to enforce wearing a mask? Kelly Rule leading things off for us tonight with the answer. Kelly.
Well, Jason, the city says they have inspectors working on this, but they cannot be everywhere. So first and foremost, they're asking people and businesses to do the right thing and wear a mask as long as doctors are saying this is necessary.
Thursday, so
However, they do have various city
early
departments now
on.
working on this, and enforcement just really depends on where you are in the city or where you're going.
Well, I think everyone should wear a mask.
She's used to it. Some of us who are not are still doing it.
Of course,
But
they want
plenty
to
of
found
people are
somebody
still
that
not wearing masks in Philadelphia.
Safety of everybody, especially for me if I'm coming behind them, yeah.
On a quiet
He ain't
Monday,
got one
Byron
on.
and Nicole Ackwood say they feel safe dining outside an old city, but you can see where people would be seated next to them. The reality of businesses trying to stay afloat in the city with no indoor
Man,
dining
they killed
allowed
a lot of these
and limited
businesses.
space.
Man,
But so
mind you,
far,
this is early
Philadelphia's
on.
health
This is 2
department
years
says they
ago.
have not fined or forced any businesses to close for social distancing or mask violations.
Just because things opened up doesn't mean this virus is gone.
It's a frustration for Nancy Barton, co-owner of the Philadelphia Brewing Company. She says they are fortunate to have the space, an entire lot where they can distance picnic tables. And as far as customers complying,
Our customers are really good. I mean, there's maybe been one or two people, but we've actually given them masks when they came in.
that's the common approach other businesses we spoke with are taking. Brown Superstores, owner of 10 Philadelphia ShopRites, say they will even shop for customers if they do not want to wear a mask, but you can come in without one. Customers cannot be forced to put it on,
Man,
but the
this shit is
city
crazy.
says businesses have the right to refuse service.
It's a comfort for everyone.
Smack Parlor stylist Beth Nordham says that's what they would do, but do not expect it to come to that.
You remember
I
when
did have
hand
someone that said,
sanitizer was like
you
$1
really
million?
have to have it covering your mouth and nose. I really, and I said it a
And
couple
you
times, and then
see,
it wasn't
you
an
got
issue.
gloves
I guess
on.
if
Ain't
it had
nobody even
continued to be
wearing
an issue, I
gloves
would
no
have had
more, right?
to, keep saying it or, just, pleasantly ask them to leave.
It's more
City
more
officials tell me
strands
Parks and
now.
Recreation now has
Less gloves
ambassadors in
and
the
less
parks
social
to make sure
distance.
people are masking up and social distancing. The health department is making sure businesses are in compliance when they're conducting their routine inspections. And the
Right.
streets department is now involved in this, monitoring outdoor dining. Jason, of course, if anybody has a concern about compliance, they can call Philly 311 at any time. As of now, they tell us they have received about 10 complaints, but again, they have not had to fine any business or shut them down so far, and of course we hope that continues.
All right, Kelly Rule, Live on City. Thank you, Kelly.
That was 2020. You know what I'm saying? So they shut down a lot of businesses. A lot of people got fined and all kind of bullshit. Like just like you think like when people was cheering in the streets for this election and all this shit, and we was saying that doctors and nurses was heroes and shit like that. Who would have thought that in a year's time that we'd have been firing these people indiscriminately like nothing? You know what I'm saying? And like I said, now you got a shortage of here, shortage over here. It's they can't get people to work these jobs. You know what I'm saying? What else we got over here? I got a lot of crazy shit over here. But we throw back Thursday.
As if we needed something else to be concerned with in 2020, now there's this. Some of the worst flooding in decades occurring across eastern and central China has now disrupted the supply chain for some personal protective equipment being exported from China to the United States. Look at the magnitude of the flooding occurring here. You can see this gentleman actually rowing past completely submerged houses with, unfortunately, more rain to fall over some of the same locations that have been ravaged so hard within the past several weeks. Take, for instance, this before and after satellite image from NASA. Poyang Lake is the largest freshwater lake in China. It's supplied from the Yangtze River to the north. It has reached its highest lake level ever recorded, 22.6 meters. That surpassed the previous record, which was back in 1998. Just gives an indication of how much water is located across this region. Now, this is part of the East Asia rainy season, which is an annual occurrence. Unfortunately, it brings yearly flooding to this region. You can see the general progression of the East Asia rainy season as it moves from south to north. It's just that this year it's been particularly hard in Wuhan, of course. We know Wuhan as the epicenter of the novel coronavirus earlier this year. It's seen intense flooding lately. In fact, it lies on the banks of the Yangtze River, and it just recorded its fourth highest river recording within this area. You can see some of the localized flooding across that region. Now, just to the west of Wuhan, Qingdao, China's largest manufacturer of non-woven fabrics used in the production of PPE equipment, has actually experienced flooding as well. So you can imagine the difficulties it requires to take some of those supplies and get them out of the region, especially amongst some of the worst flooding in decades. Unfortunately, more rain in store. We have the potential for another 150 to 250 millimeters on top of what's already fallen.
So, you know, like, this shit is affecting all kind of shipping and goods and shit. You know what I mean? And people are just not paying attention to shit. You know? That's what like Rick was talking about with the trucker shit. You know? These motherfuckers is beefing back and forth and shit. You know what I mean? On the low. So who knows? You know, when these motherfuckers are shooting off missiles, and then the next thing you know, it's a crazy storm coming, or you know, some crazy shit happening. You know, it's like you start to see a pattern develop. You know what I'm saying? What else we got here? Trying to get my man Reese on so we can follow up on this story.
Philly is no stranger to sports memorabilia. We see pictures of our favorite athletes and teams all the time, but one artist wants to memorialize one of Philly's finest teams, our medical professionals. Here's Chris.
So my name is Jordan Spector.
If you're a Philly sports fan, you've probably seen Jordan Spector's work.
I'm an artist here in Philadelphia. I mainly specialize in sports. I work with particular athletes, some of the teams sometimes.
But the Willow Grove artist's most recent work takes legends to a brand new arena, the hospital.
I call it Healthcare Heroes. This pays homage and tribute to them and everything that they're doing for us.
Using Lincoln Financial Field as his inspiration, he wanted the look and feel of a team picture, a team we're all rooting for.
I wanted to represent what a team would look like, but this time it's the Healthcare Heroes at the center of it instead of our sports team, and in the crowd is all of us cheering.
Spector knows about teamwork. He was a walk-on running back for the Temple football team. He says we all love our sports heroes, but these men and women are the real deal.
Usually, us sports fans idolize and love our sports heroes, our teams as well. But this is supposed to be the Healthcare Heroes team that we should all be supporting as well.
Here's the cool part. You can buy a print, have it shipped and donated to a hospital of your choice. The hope is to hang in hospital hallways to inspire those on the front lines.
And my goal, honestly, is to get one of these canvases in every hospital in the U.S. I think it'd be really cool, not only to remind them of how much we care during this time, but in the future to look back to what they've done for all of us.
Next week, the first batch of donated prints will be shipped out, one of them going as far away as California. Spector is hoping to have his artwork hung in more than 6,000 hospitals across the country. If you want to check it out, go to our website to see his artwork. In South Philly, Chris O'Connell, Fox 29 News.
Yeah, and they fired all them people. You know what I'm saying? And now y'all short staffed and y'all can't get nobody to come in there and help out. And they giving out crazy bonuses to the people that is working. They getting like other people's salary and shit. You know what I'm saying? And these people is getting sick and all kind of situations is happening. And they just tell them like, if you don't feel good, just stay home. And soon as you cool, just come back. You know what I mean? Like this shit is just crazy as shit. Like, what else we got right here, man? I got some crazy stories, man.
Well, tonight we are hearing from Physicians Primary Care where more than $2,200 worth of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine were stolen this week. The managing physician for the group says, quote, Physicians Primary Care found COVID-19 vaccine missing from one of its Cape Coral locations. The Cape Coral police were immediately notified and are investigating. We are taking this theft very seriously. Unfortunately, this means that the missing vaccines will not make it into the arms of our patients who need them. 10 vials, each containing 5 doses of the vaccine, were taken from the location on Vizcaya Parkway. If you have any information, you are asked to call Cape Coral Police.
Dang. What happened with that shit? You know what I'm saying? Like, who would do some shit like that, first of all? You know what I'm saying? Like, did that really happen? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, that's why it's like, when you go back and look at a lot of the shit that happened in the news and shit, it's like, damn, like, these motherfuckers tell so many stories that maybe they be forgetting their own shit. What the fuck happened with that shit? Mind you that, and that was early on. That was like, I would say like a year ago or something like that. You know what I mean? A little over a year ago, like when the shit, when they first started rolling out the situations. You know what I'm saying? Somebody snatched them Jones up, stole them. You know what I'm saying? And what happened? What did they do with it? Did they sell them or what? You know what I'm saying? Like that shit is crazy. Like, and it's like we ain't even be hearing about nothing else about it. It don't be like they be burying these stories, man. It should be crazy. You know what I mean? But like it's Black History Month, and they with they bullshit. So I was listening to the radio, and I snatched this shit off the radio where they was talking about the 13th Amendment, and listen to this group.
Now, during this Black History Month, the National Constitution Center is highlighting what lies beyond Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation.
Right here.
Here's KYW's Justin Udo.
The 13th Amendment of the Constitution, which abolishes slavery, is probably the most well-known piece of the document when it comes to African-American history. But Curry Sotner with the National Constitution Center says their Black History Month programming is working to let people know it's not the only one.
We get to look at these amazing stories of African-Americans in our country over time, the amazing history and the connection to the Constitution.
Sotner says their programs and exhibitions on the Constitution as a whole opens it up as a document as it looks through the Black American lens from Reconstruction to voting rights.
To see the power of people and how they can make change with that document over time in some of the hardest situations, but also with the greatest hope and forward movement.
She adds their events range from virtual talks to in-person projects.
And that's all they want to talk about.
Doors are open for free.
Some of the great programs that we'll do is going to ensure that younger kids and adults get something out of it that they love.
But and it's the same bullshit every year with this shit. Like, Black History Month, they want you to think that your history is you just being a slave and your struggle and you working with your oppressors to make a better way and civil rights and peanuts and Thurgood Marshall and all. And no disrespect to none of them people, but it's like they always try to tell you like these things that they kind of keep you like grounded, so to speak. Even like when they talk about critical race theory, like they don't want black and white children to know what happened in the past. Like even like when they show you pictures of Martin Luther King, they try to act like it wasn't no color pictures back then. Like, all the pictures you see of them is like black and white and shit. I mean, but that shit wasn't that long ago because they want you to give you this mindset that that shit was so long ago. You know what I'm saying? Like they be having the hand pick them black and white photos, and some of them they turn them black and white. You know what I mean? But this is proof that all they want to talk to you about is you being a slave and civil rights and shit like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they don't want to talk about the 1,000 inventors that we have. You know, they don't want to talk about the building blocks of civilization and all of these different things that they try to whitewash. And they got shows like Ancient Aliens that's in like its 15th season, just lying. You know what I'm saying? Like, and just like them people said in another video, oh, people who's journalists and this is entertainment, and all that shit is classified as entertainment, and they could go on TV and lie and talk about ancient aliens and all this other fly shit, but is nobody when you think about the Roman Colosseum and all these different things in Europe that was erected, nobody never talk about aliens coming to help them do shit. You know what I mean? It's always black. There's always black people. It's always African people. You know what I'm saying? It's always melanated people who had to have some assistance. Or they had to have aliens had to come and help them. They couldn't possibly have figure this thing out when we the first people to ever look after another human being. And that probably just went over your head right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, because if you're doing that, then we got to be doing a lot of other stuff too first. These people is crazy as shit, man. But they just say whatever. They just say whatever, man. Like, this shit is crazy, man. What else we got right here, man? Crazy shit going on. Like, this brainwashing shit. Like I was talking about with these kids and shit. Hold on. What's this right here? Oh yeah, I want to break this shit down about this news shit.
We're starting with breaking news. Police are looking for at least 4 suspects who beat a man, then shot him in the back in Northeast Philadelphia. This all going on just after 11 last night on the 5200 block of Whitaker Avenue. Investigators say the 27-year-old was shot several times in the back after being pushed to the ground. He managed to run across all 4 lanes of traffic on the boulevard and get to a hotel.
The motive appears to be a physical altercation and a fight with individuals that this victim knows. So we're pretty confident that we're going to be able to identify at least some of these individuals that he was involved in the fight with, possibly the individuals that shot him.
The victim is in the hospital in serious but stable condition. Police say they located at least 1 surveillance camera that captured part of the fight.
That shit is crazy, yo. This is shit like this is why they can't afford to have the cops fired and shit. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. It's crazy in the city. You know what I'm saying? So like, while they firing other people and mandating other people and saying that you gotta have this installation to work or you out of here, they not doing that shit. You know what I'm saying? To the law because they need them. You know what I'm saying? It's not a game, bro. It's not a game. Like these people, man, like they bait and switch with you. You know what I'm saying? Like they offer, like you said, like earlier I showed you that they're offering these people, they still offering bread. The cop, they giving them $500 to get the shit. You know what I mean? Because they can't afford for to be firing, officers when you got crazy shit going on in the city. You know what I'm saying? That shit is man, shit is crazy, bro. You gotta pay attention, man. Like, yeah, I wanted to point out this little symbolism shit right here up in this video right here.
Hi, it's Jason Mudd. I want to talk to you today about inverted pyramid. This is a term that's very commonly used in newsrooms and occasionally used in PR departments. And I want to share with you just a little bit about what inverted pyramid means. So if You think of a pyramid looking like this, and you flip it over, it looks a little bit more like this. And what's happening is like a funnel. A lot of you know what a funnel is. If you think of inverted pyramid, when it comes to news writing or storytelling, you start with the most important information at the top, and you work your way down with the more detailed and less important information towards the bottom. So again, at the top is going to be, if you're thinking about a triangle or inverted pyramid, right? You've got more the high level information up here, and then you slowly trickle down to the more detailed but less important or less newsworthy information. When you're writing for media or when you're writing for telling a great story, you've got to think about the idea of covering the most important points early and then moving on with the more detailed information at the bottom. In newsrooms, reporters are writing an inverted pyramid, and you should be writing two newsrooms an inverted pyramid, so that in the event that, let's say, they're writing your story or taking your content or your news release that's written in inverted pyramid, and suddenly the editor or whatever goes, hey, cut that in half, they can literally take your article and take the lower bottom half and just cut it, and it's done. That easy, versus creating more work for them to have to rewrite it. So let's say it's 500 words and they're told no, now they want it to be 250 words. Or if it's a 4-minute story that they're doing on television or radio or internet broadcast, and now they're told it needs to be told in 2 minutes. Ideally, they can just take that bottom half and cut it out. And by cutting out half the story, and you doing it through inverted pyramid, you've done it the right way the first time. It's very easy for them, very easy for you, because the most important information is shared up front, and the bottom half is the less important information that's just so easy to cut. Now, before we end this video and you walk away and say, okay, now I know what inverted pyramid is and I know how to write for it, the truth is you don't know how to write for it unless you're writing about what's most important to the audience first, and the additional detail that your client or your boss or whomever might want included is in that second half. Because the truth is all PR, all external communications, all communication should be very focused on the recipient, not on the sender. When it's too focused on the sender, the company, you, the client, the corporation, whoever it might be, it's not as relevant. People don't care as much. And so the biggest mistake I'm seeing you make with content is it's all about you. Make it all about them. Make it all about the audience and show them the information that they care the most about, and you'll have so much more success in your content, in your storytelling, and in your communications. So write for inverted pyramid where it's easy to cut or it's easy to include the information based on time and space allowed, but at the same time write in a way that it's not about you, it's about the reader, it's about the recipient, it's about the audience. You'll have so much more success with what you're doing.
That's how these motherfuckers be coding their shit in the news and shit. You know what I mean? Like they use the neuro-linguistic program and they speak reptile, and they cut these stories in a certain way to grab your attention. You know what I mean? Just like with that monkey story. You know what I'm saying? Like, they milked that story for 11 days. You know what I'm saying? And of course, they come out with some shit about the shit on the 11th day after the story. You know what I mean? But that's how they do their shit. Right? You know what I'm saying? They everything they do is like ritualistic coding type shit. And they set you up. Boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean? And it's like we just going back over some of the shit that they didn't said, or maybe they forgot about it or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But these motherfuckers is crazy as shit. Like all right, you did the story about the monkeys and shit, right? And they said that some lady got bit or whatever. First they said it was 4 monkeys that got loose and 3 monkeys, and they switching up the story and all that kind of shit. Like, you know what I mean? And they was like running the Outbreak movie playbook, basically. You know what I mean? So, they come back with the story again, that this little news article that I snatched, you know what I'm saying?
Questions remain after Highway crash involving monkeys. A Pennsylvania woman who had contact with them says she has signs of illness, but no one else has reported symptoms. And the airline that shipped them is getting out of the business. Crates holding live monkeys were scattered across the road after an accident near
the airline
Danville,
is
Palm on
closing.
Jan. 21. Jimmy May Bloomsburg Press Enterprise via Associated Press. By Michael Levinson. Feb. 1, 2022. In the 11 days since a truck hauling 100 monkeys from Mauritius
11 days.
crashed in Pennsylvania, one woman who got close to the scattered crates of monkeys on the highway has been treated for possible symptoms of illness. And Kenya Airways, which is believed to have transported the monkeys to the United States, has decided not to renew its expiring contract to ship research primates here. No other reports of possible illness related to the crash have emerged, according to state and federal health officials who said it was not known whether the Pennsylvania woman's symptoms were related to the cynomolgus macaques, which were being quarantined and monitored for diseases. Experts said that direct exposure to monkey saliva or feces could be dangerous, but that the risk of a broader outbreak was low. The woman, Michelle Fallon, 45, of Danville, PA, said on Tuesday that she had been given 2 doses of the rabies vaccine, antiviral medication and antibiotic eye drops after she had a runny nose, a cough, and filmy buildup and crust in her eye. She also vomited over the weekend, she said, possibly because of the antiviral medication. She said her eye was much improved and that she was feeling better, though she still felt queasy. She said she was awaiting the results of a blood test for airborne diseases and WS arrival for advice. She had been a view from Drive. Liz, dentist who works with Oles, which has long people roar times. Fallon said she was driving home on January 21st in Montauk County, about 150 miles northwest of Philadelphia, when she sand crash in which a dump truck hit a pickup truck that was hauling a trailer with the macaques. The monkeys had arrived at Kennedy 215 International Airport in New York and were on their way to a quarantine facility. Ms. Fallon stopped to see if anyone was hurt and found crates strewn across the roadway. Told by a bystander that cats might be inside, she stuck her finger in one and saw brown fur. When the animal made a weird noise, she put her face closer to get a better look. That's when, she said, she noticed that it wasn't a cat but a monkey, which hissed at her. She said she felt a mist. She also stepped in monkey feces, she said. That night, she went to a party with people who later tested positive for the coronavirus, she said. Ms. Fallon said that while she herself had tested negative, the series of events added up to the worst day of my life. 3 of the monkeys escaped after the crash, but were quickly found and humanely euthanized, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said, without offering further details. The CDC referred questions about Ms. Fallon's condition to the Pennsylvania Department of Health and her doctor, saying it does not provide clinical care for individuals. Barry Sacasio, a spokesman for the Department of Health, said in an email, it is not known if that individual's medical condition is related. We take any report of exposure to these non-human primates very seriously, Mr. Sacasio said. The Department of Health recommends that anyone who thinks they may have been exposed to a non-human primate to contact their healthcare provider. The Dr. Khan then consult with the department about the risks and best course of treatment, he said. Ms. Fallon's doctor's office referred questions to the Jaisinger health system, which did not immediately respond to an email and phone call. In a letter issued to the authorities after the crash, the CDC said that anyone who was within 5 feet of the monkeys' crates without respiratory and eye protection should monitor themselves for signs of illness such as fever, fatigue, cough, diarrhea, and vomiting. The letter noted that monkeys and humans are naturally susceptible to many of the same diseases. It said the surviving monkeys would be quarantined and monitored for infectious diseases for at least 31 days. Mr. Sakasiapo described the letter as precautionary and a form letter used in such incidents. Michael L. Skull, the chief of the Valley Township Fire Deepsea, said that he and other emergency personnel who respond RMS did not talk cause to risk any infection out of an abundant full, he said, but added that he was unconscious, lost no sleep. 6. GLLN 543. Dr. Christine Peter-Ciro, director of the Center for Emerging Infectious Diseases at the University of Iowa, said serious diseases like monkeypox and Ebola are rare in cynomolgus macaques, but that precaution should be taken by anyone who may have come into contact with one. A cornered monkey is not the kindest of creatures, she said. If they deny that bitten or spit on, that's worrisome. But what are the odds that any 3 random monkeys could somehow spread something dastardly to a first responder? Dr. Peterson added, it's not high. Dr. Sureshvi Kachapudi, a clinical professor in the Department of Veterinary and Biomedical Sciences at Pennsylvania State University, said that so long as someone who has been too close to a wild animal like a macaque is receiving treatment for any infection, the risk of it spreading to other people is low. Public health concerns were not the only fallout from the crash. After PETA contacted Kenya Airways, the company said last week that it would not renew its contract for the transportation of macaques when it expires this month. In doing so, it joined several airlines, including major American carriers, that have refused to transport animals used in medical research. PETA claimed victory in a news release. It has also asked the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the U.S. Department of Transportation to investigate the crash, warning of a dangerous lack of oversight for the transportation of primates. U.S. laboratories haven't been able to prevent tuberculosis, cholera, campylobacteriosis, Chagas disease, or other deadly pathogens from infecting the monkeys they cage and experiment on. Drive, Jones Engel said in a statement, and they still put these monkeys on trucks that travel our highways nationwide.
Man, this shit crazy, man. Like, you know, this story, man, like I'm telling you, like they ran this shit from the outbreak playbook, you know, so now it's like this whole global concern about these monkeys and shit. And you see the Kenya Airlines, they fucking shut down and shit. You know what I mean? Now I did the gematria on the shit, you know, when the shit first happened and shit. You know, and I was saying, you know, 100 monkeys in gematria equal 80. You know what I'm saying? And you know, and it equal 59 and 141 that can be looked at as 42 too. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the 49, 52. You know, symbolism, black people, monkeys. You know, they could be touching on that shit like that. You know, they kind of do weird shit like that. You know, but you know, 100 monkeys equals 80. You know, the shit happened on Interstate 80. You know what I mean? That shit ain't no coincidence. You know what I'm saying? Now, they said that the Kenyan Airways is the people that's responsible for the monkeys and shit. They, in gematria, they equal 36. That shit equals 36, like 3 sixes, of course. You know what I'm saying? Also, it equals 1801. You know, keep that in mind right there. Now, the shit happened in Danville. Danville, PA equals 41. You know what I'm saying? Now, 41 has been, you know, kind of like dropped on us over and over consistently. You know what I'm saying? It started with, you know, the Kobe shit, you know, the Kobe and the COVID shit. You know, Kobe died at 41. You know, the video I had posted, you know, he took his last shot over number 41. They took him out at 4.1 seconds. You know what I'm saying? So and Kobe Bryant equals 41. Sleepy Joe equals 41. You know, President equals 41. You know what I'm saying? You know, coronavirus equals 41. Anthony Fauci equals 41. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they kind of been showing you a lot of this shit over and over again. The bull Virgil, he died at 41. You know what I'm saying? They keep showing you this number 41. You know, recently on my Instagram post that I had posted shit about somebody getting murdered. You know, and they kept telling you that this person was 41. Like, why they keep telling you that shit? You know what I'm saying? Danville, PA equals 41. You know, the lady who came in contact with the monkey, Michelle Fallon, equals 41. You know what I'm saying? And equals 811. You know what I'm saying? Now in gematria, the 0 is obsolete. So Kenya Airways equals 1801. And Michelle Fallon equals 811. You know what I'm saying? See how they move the numbers around, fuck with the numbers. You know, the bull, the health department director, you know, Barry Capricoli, he equals 80 and 59. You know what I'm saying? Now remember, 100 monkeys equals 80 and 59. You know what I'm saying? You know, Danville equals 36. You know what I'm saying? So you see how like all this shit kind of tie in. Kenya Airways 36, Danville 36. You know, like they play with these numbers, man. Like, you know, and of course, you know, when I'm done this shit over and over again plenty of times, you know, so it was like it's way more than just a coincidence, you know. But they showing you something bigger than, you know, with this story. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got another little clip, you know, bear with me. I got another John where they shut down this airway and they go more into it. You know what I'm saying?
Business. For some airlines, after horrific truck accident, monkeys have been used for medical research, including testing the efficacy of the COVID-19 vaccine. But animal rights groups want the practice stopped. Source images, copyright sign Lavere Gillard /Unsplash, Mark Harkin /Flickerai. By Elizabeth Daly. After 100 monkeys escaped on a Pennsylvania highway, Kenya Airways said it will no longer fly macaques overseas when its contract with an undisclosed shipper expires this month, further limiting the supply of monkeys available for U.S. medical testing, according to the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals PETA. Kenya Airways flew the Mauritanian monkeys to JFK in New York City before they boarded a truck that crashed en route to an approved animal quarantine facility on January 21st. 3 of the monkeys were euthanized during the escape and all are accounted for. Centers for Disease Control Prevention spokeswoman Kristen Nordlund wrote in an email to Fast Company. Watch more from Fast Company because they are genetically similar to humans. Monkeys have been used for medical research, including testing the efficacy of the COVID-19 vaccine. Before the pandemic, monkeys were primarily imported from China and used for HIV research, according to Mark Lewis, CEO of BioQual, a vaccine and medical testing company. Lewis's company worked to test the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine on monkeys as part of the Food and Drug Administration approval process. However, he now has a hard time finding monkeys because the pandemic caused China to stop exporting all animal products, including macaque monkeys, which he said can now fetch a price as high as $20,000 per animal. The price has at least doubled over the last 4 years. COVID has changed Everett and 9, he said, explaining that the United States does not produce enough monkeys domestically to keep up with demand. In an email provided to Fast Company by PETA, Kenya Airways chairman Michael Joseph wrote that he was horrified by the monkey escape incident as a conservationist, adding that the animals, which were bred for export, would no longer be brought to the United States by his company, marking a significant victory for the animal rights organization. Numerous airlines have left the monkey business, confirming they do not ship primates for medical testing, with notable holdouts being Air France and Wamos Air, according to PETA Vice President Alka Chandna. In an interview with Fast Company, Chandna said the FDA is wed to animal testing, but it is outdated and potentially dangerous to public health, citing the risk of monkey-to-human disease transmission. She said a bipartisan bill called the FDA Modernization Act, introduced by Senators Cory Booker of New Jersey and Rand Paul of Kentucky, is meant to unshackle the pharmaceutical industry from animal testing and expedite the process of FDA approval. The bill would not end animal testing entirely, but it would allow clinical trials in humans prior to animal testing. During COVID-19 vaccine trials, clinical testing on humans and animals was done concurrently, leading Chandna to believe that animal testing was not crucial to efficacy testing at all. We are pushing the FDA to take this as a lesson learned from the tragedy of the pandemic to say we are going to let go of this paradigm of animal testing, she said. However, for Lewis, testing in monkeys is necessary. In terms, cynotes are the closest to humans that we have, he said. AA. But mice are not the best for looking at immune response cases, give a false answer. If the monkeys are used to their fullest extent and are not liberated or OOS following testing. PTT dark industry. Violent and cruel, Chandna said, hypothesizing that didn't want their reputation sullied by association with the practice. Animal testing is part of public health. We wouldn't be where we are COVID vaccines without having done the primate testing in early 2020. It helped us get an approved vaccine in 9 months.
Dang. See the shit they tie the shit into this bullshit. You know what I mean? So you got one side saying, you know, this is a win, you know, for the animal rights, but then you got, you know, quote unquote science, you know, throwing a fit, you know, saying, hey, you know, we need that. We need those monkeys so that we can you know, keep doing our situation, you know. And it's like that shit is crazy because it's like, all right, well, if they stopping the tests on the monkeys, then who's gonna be the new test? And you know, the operative word there is who. You know what I mean? That's the crazy shit. You know, these motherfuckers, man, they got some crazy shit going on, man. Hold up. No, I ain't put that on. But you know, they just be telling you stories and you know, that shit just go in and out the news and you know, crazy shit like that. Now, oh man, I seen this crazy ass story right here. I gotta get into this shit right here. Hold on, where is this shit at?
What's being done to enforce wearing a mask?
My fault. Not that one. This one right here. This shit is crazy right here. Look at this shit.
Daisha Phillips was 22 and looking for that perfect body that people are idolizing on TV. From her 2 years in the Navy Reserves to her passion to entertain, Phillips wanted to make a difference. Two of her sisters talked from Indiana and St. Louis.
No one had a bad thing to say about her.
Kimberly Sanders and Tarisha Patterson say their sister felt pressure to improve her body.
I think you need to be very careful, women who they hang around with and who influences them. We have a lot of stars and actresses and actors, like, I don't want to say any names, you know, because it's not fair to them. But they're out there in the music industry.
Because these people should be held accountable.
In the summer of 2015, Phillips went to a St. Louis hotel with several other women to get silicone injections in her butt.
She was basically dying when she left there, a slow death.
Nautica Lee, now convicted of giving that deadly injection, evaded authorities for 5 years before she was caught in her home state, Texas.
You actually was a participant in a person losing their life. And you get 5 years, and you probably won't even serve all those 5 years. And you got a gift. And I really do hope you do something with the rest of your life.
Phillips' family attended Thursday's sentencing for the woman who pleaded guilty to giving the injection. Nautica Lee got 5 years.
You got to live and do what you wanted for additional 5 years before you were caught.
Those family members are invested in their loved one, and they want justice, whether it be a day later or 20 years later.
St. Louis County Prosecutor Wesley Bell credits not only the Phillips family for their patience, but also assistance from other authorities.
This was a collaborative effort, not only with the Dallas PD, our office, but in the first time that I'm aware of, the FDA, because of the illegal silicone shots in this case.
Lee turned down an interview, but I received this letter saying in part, I'm writing to you today to attempt to convey my deepest regret and sympathy over the death of Daisha. I had a brief opportunity of meeting Daisha, and I can truly appreciate why she was beloved by her family and friends. She also said, I had no intentions on bringing harm to Daisha's life.
Man, that shit is fucked up, you know. You know, like, you know, the lady she talked about, like, influences, influences that come from like social media, you know what I'm saying? That come from, all these different places where, where all of the where the kids is at, you know what I mean? And it's fucked up because who's held accountable for this shit? You know, when these girls make these crazy songs and these videos come out and the radio, the news, and all, and the Super Bowl, and all these other people, they all play a role in making sure that we see all of this kind of ratchet, this wild shit that's being emulated every day. You know what I'm saying? All over the social media platforms and all that. Nobody think about the psychological toll that should weigh on on people. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit is crazy, yo. That shit is crazy. Like, and it's like, man, like these motherfuckers, when they made social media, they knew what they was doing, man. You know, like, you know what I mean? And you see this shit all on here, and it's fucking people up, and just think about like all of the shit that people is like looking at, and they not like in reality. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got doctors and shit that's like, saying like, yo, like this shit ain't cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like this was
that perfect body, we all have
this is right
insecurities.
before
And
that
the fitness
video.
industry knows this.
You know what
They
I'm
know
saying?
exactly how to target people's insecurities and offer a quick fix. Hi, I'm Dr. Alok Patel. I'm a physician and journalist. I'm here to tell you why waist trainers are likely a waste of your time. When it comes to having that perfect body, we all have insecurities. And the fitness industry knows this. They know exactly how to target people's insecurities and offer a quick fix. Hi, I'm Dr. Alok Patel. I'm a physician and journalist. I'm here to tell you why waist trainers are likely a waste of your time. Waist trainers are like a modern relative to the corset. Corsets have been around for centuries. They used to be made of whale bones, by the way, but they evolved over time with different materials and styles, not only for comfort, but to achieve whatever silhouette society said was beautiful at the time. Well, fast forward to today, and there are still videos of people wearing waist trainers and cinching them up as much as humanly possible to achieve that exaggerated hourglass figure. Well, I saw some of these videos, and did I think of any specific health concerns? Oh, there are definitely some safety concerns, and we have to talk about them. Think about your body, your digestive system, which keeps you running like a well-oiled, high-functioning machine. Do you think it wants to be squeezed for hours at a time? Your liver, gallbladder, stomach, pancreas, small intestine, your colon, your kidneys, they can cause all kinds of problems, like issues with your digestion, acid reflux, or worse. Think about what hangs out right above your midsection. You've got your diaphragm, the muscles which help you breathe and live. And this could all be a really big issue for anyone who has underlying medical conditions, such as lung disease, heart disease, or any problems of the gut. If we're talking about less restrictive shaping undergarments, that's a whole other story. I've heard from a lot of people with different body types who in general had a positive experience with shapewear. Waist trainers gave them more confidence or helped them better fit into their clothes. I think everyone has the right to look and feel their best, as long as you're not wreaking havoc on your internal organs and your ability to eat, move, breathe, and digest. That concerns me. But what else concerns me is the message this industry is sending to the younger generation. I've had plenty of patients ask me about waist trainers. Some of these patients are as young as 11 or 12 years old. I had one patient go on TikTok and show me some of these waist trainer videos, and there were so many of them that the videos collectively had over 450 million views. This is the culture they're growing up in, and this is what they're exposed to. It is a culture where if a celebrity or an influencer endorses a product, it'll gain traction, and that's exactly what's happening with the waist trainer. Instead of falling for all the hype, just go back to the basic pillars of healthy living. You don't need pills, potions, or a thick piece of fabric to look and feel your best. If you actually do want to improve your posture, work out your core, feel better, whatever, it's best you talk to an actual health or fitness professional and not rely on waist trainers.
Mm-hmm. See, these motherfuckers is just program you all day with the bullshit, and nobody is held accountable for the shit, and the world go crazy and crazy, and people just, they judge uh, Frankenstein and the monster, and the mad scientists, just free to just keep making monsters. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I was listening to the radio and shit, and I heard them try to it was like a little blooper a little bit. I caught this shit. Like, they try to program, they try to program the sisters, females, with this bullshit right here. They were saying that it's harder to get it's harder to get a house than it is to get a spouse. Now listen to what they say real quick, and then I'm gonna add my response after this.
A new survey says more than a third of recent movers say it's harder to find a house than a spouse. But women still like the experience. In fact, women say shopping for a home is more enjoyable than dating. Yeah. And if you want to get a little excitement back in your life, Carol, listen to this. Psychologists say looking at for sale listings can create a mood-boosting chemical reaction in the brain. That's like getting those butterflies when you start a relationship. I can't make it up. I'm sorry. All righty.
Now look, she couldn't even finish the bullshit. She's like, I can't make this shit up, and I'm gonna take that literally. You know what I'm saying? Because they was really just making up some bullshit right there. They was just saying that you get the butterfly feeling in your stomach when you buy the house, and it's the same thing, or if not better than, the connection that you get in a relationship. So you see, like all of this is quiet weapons. All of these things that you're looking at is quiet weapons, the silent wars. You know what I'm saying? And they shoot situations at you. And one of the things that they want to do is they want to destroy the bond between, families, between men and women. So they have been quiet, materialism, and bullshit more than, natural connections with people and their relations and family and future. You know what I'm saying? So, when they try to program, you see like the lady, attend this program, women yet again, with some kind of materialism, a lot of bullshit. You know what I mean? So that is, that question. Is it harder to get a spouse than a house? Or is it harder to get a house than a spouse? You know what I'm saying? Or a spouse than a house? Which one is harder? You know what I'm saying? Because, nowadays it's like, you got a lot of people that, they can get, cribs and, move up the financial ladder and, all of that, but they can't maintain, relationships. They can't maintain families, they workaholics or whatever, like, or they the common denominator and they don't realize it. And then we kind of make up, super high standards for people to acquiesce to, you know what I'm saying? And it's like you yourself don't meet them standards, So it's a lot of, fuckery that goes on, just with men and women, gender, role bullshit, of course you got this whole divestiture shit and all this manosphere, gynocracy shit going on. And it's like, man, it's like, if you really want, like, when people talk about like the, manifestation and shit like that, and calling things into existence, if you're mad at the things that happen in society with in the community, then why not promote things that you want to see as opposed to targeting and always talking about the things that you don't like, you know what I'm saying? And you might be bringing more of that about, just food for thought, you know what I'm saying? But, it's a lot of other shit, going on in the world. People don't even know, if it's cool, whether they mate got the jab or whatever, they shedding or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So like, a lot of people online is relationship specialists because, they don't have nothing else to talk about. Like, you know what I mean? You know, it's saying, you know, essentially black people have been studied, you know, for generations, and you know, we've been filled up with, you know, knowledge about relationships and who's fucking who and this and that. You know, all of our songs and our quote unquote culture is all centered around relationships, and you know, so all day is like people is thinking about this, but they're not thinking about, you know, matters of real importance. You know, so this is why you see so many relationship specialists online. And, you know, no disrespect to, you know, anybody that's doing their thing in a positive way. But, you know, of course, you got a lot of bad apples out there that's just, you know, they upset with the things that's happened in their life. So they go out and attack the other gender, you know, as a way of trying to heal themselves or whatever. But these people is not being held accountable for the destruction and chaos they're causing amongst the community. You know, the same way that, you know, these people can come on and lie and say all this crazy shit and tell you all these crazy stories, and, you know, and have you just believing and thinking whatever, you know, and shit don't even be true. You know what I mean? Like, shit is crazy, you know. So it's like there has to be accountability, man. You know, if they telling us that we can't come on here and take, you know, speak truth and 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 show you real things, and they can tell you things that, you know, don't even make sense, let alone or can be proven to be false, and they not held accountable. You know, people online can call for murder and genocide of black babies and all this kind of crazy shit, and they not held accountable. But you know, you flagging people channels for simply trying to help people, you know, stay alive and stay healthy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's just kind of crazy. You know, just like when you think about I got this. I think I'm about to get out of here. I got one last video I'm gonna play before I dip out of here. But you know, they had the bull. What's this nigga name? Joe Biden sometime. Remember he had the hot mic and shit. And he called somebody a stupid son of a bitch, right? And you know, people was mad about that. And you know, look at what these people were saying on The View, how they defended him and shit. You know what I'm saying?
He should apologize to the Americans.
Why did Trump apologize?
No, but
for calling Jim Acosta a rude, terrible person.
No,
Abby Phillips questions are stupid, etc.
Even Cecilia Vega, he said you never think.
But I think what Leisha's saying is because it's wrong.
I
was a poor example to Ducey on the phone, but I just think he should acknowledge that he was a poor example for.
Well, but no, I'm sorry. Yeah. He should acknowledge he's human. Because that happens sometimes when people ask you endless stupid questions from one particular place. And sometimes you just lose it for a second. The difference is, he said, okay, let me call him and apologize because that happens. And I think that, for me, is the representation of what a human being as president should be.
An adult.
Yes. And also, an adult.
I hear you,
It points out the difference between Biden and Trump. Yeah. Because Trump, let us not forget, said that the press is the enemy of the people.
Yeah.
Right.
Even Chris Wallace acknowledged that in 2019. He said, I believe that President Trump is engaged in the most direct, sustained assault on freedom of the press in our history. So, okay, so he's, the stupid SOB, he says. It's nothing compared to what Trump said.
I agree with you, but we can't keep comparing him.
Yes, you can.
To Trump.
I think you're right about that. We can't keep
and really, it's not like Ducey. I mean, it wasn't. There are stupid questions, but he was asking about inflation, which is a real issue, and the midterm elections, which are right around the corner. But again, it's not like he was asking about something.
It was a sarcastic question, though, right, Lisa? I mean, he's like, will that be a liability? Of course, it's a liability. And he also asked.
Listen, he's smart enough to know
the country to the left.
That's what he wanted. He got what he wanted. He asked a question that wasn't worthy of him asking it.
But also the president's smart enough to know that he's standing in front of a lot of people with a microphone.
That's why he didn't do it.
Now they try to say who's worthy of what, to say what. You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit is crazy as shit. Like, You know, when they say
So,
the press what's
I'm
going
on my way
on?
home from work, but you know I'm up in here.
Yeah, I'm on
I
here. I
barely
mean,
can hear you, man.
I don't know why not, but hold on, let me roll up the windows.
I
But
can't hear
you know
you
what I'm
that
saying, like
good.
they say that the press, the press, that Trump was, going
They
at the
talk
press,
about with the volume.
and the press is like for the people and all of that, like you know what I'm saying, like.
Can you hear me?
But the press is the enemy of the people right now. They coming at you, telling you what you can't say, what you can and can't say. You know what I'm saying? Think about it, man. You know. So I mean, I'm not saying that like I'm not a Trump supporter or none of that. But just think about that. Think about how it's different when it comes to you, when it comes to things that you concerned about. They won't even let you talk about it. You know what I'm saying? But they can come on and just say whatever. What's going on? You there? Can you hear me? I don't know. I don't know if you can you hear me? Man,
Peace, Khaled. What's up, God?
what's going on? Can you hear me?
Hey, man, I just want to say peace to the family. First and foremost, I'm just chiming in. I just got off work, but I want to support the channel. I tell everybody else to support the channel. Also, support Khaled, man. He's an attribute to the community, you know. So I just ask everybody to chime in and support the brother, man. He got good topics, good wisdom, good knowledge, and good understanding. I don't mean to interrupt your broadcast, man, but
No, it's
I
all
just
good.
got off work and I wanted to chime in. And first, I wanted to give you your due respect for you taking your time out your day to give people this knowledge. For
Right.
those that accept it and appreciate it. So, I say to the king, and I'm gonna let you get back to the topic and chime in. Where I feel as though if I can chime in, I feel as though you need some help attacking some of these topics. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
man, that's what I just wanted to say, man. Support the channel, man. Support Khaled. He's been doing this a long time. You know what I mean? He's in the community 10 toes down. He's on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Support the brother, show him
They
love.
trying to ban it. They've
He
been
got a
banning
lot
the
of
shit out of
wisdom and
me, but
knowledge to bring to the people, to
support
bring
the
to our
channel.
youth, to bring to our elders, to bring to his peers. So support the brother, man, like me. And like I said, he gonna get this information out there. We gonna get the same information out there. But Khaled, man, you go ahead,
Thank you.
finish dropping them gems on them, brother, and giving them that knowledge. And I'm here. I'm on.
Right.
First
Thank
of
you,
all, and I
man.
would like to say thank you also, man. You know what I mean? So, you know, give you your flowers now.
Yeah, man.
Man.
I appreciate you, man. Like shit,
Yo,
man.
can you turn your volume up some or is it me?
Can you hear me?
I hear you, but vaguely.
Damn, hold on.
I was just making those statements for the people. You know what I mean? For people that's chiming in that don't know who you are, that don't know your groundwork, that don't know your knowledge, that don't know what you do. You know, to describe this man right here, that's a man that'll give to the homeless, but you won't even know. That's a man that'll feed the homeless, but you won't even know. This is a man that does things out the kindness and the genuineness of his heart. It's just in his DNA. So his good deeds are not promoted. His good deeds are promoted to his heart, and that's it. So I mean, we need more people like Khaled in the community to bring you information that's most people don't bring you. You know, so I'm just saying, man, we gotta support the brother. You gotta support his channel. You gotta cash app him because, yeah, I mean, he coming on here. That's hours out of his day to bring us information that that a lot of people don't get. So I've learned plenty of things from him, and I hope it's vice versa with him. He's a walking
Most
book of
definitely.
knowledge, man. So anybody that's chiming in, get your ears ready and your popcorn ready, and sit down and listen to the gems that the brother got to bring. Because every time he go on, I'm gonna support him, and I'm gonna bring some people to support him also. So I mean, one love, peace and benedictions to the God, and you keep
Mm-hmm.
dropping them gems, man. You mean? I'm gonna sit back and listen for a second while I'm driving. As soon as I get home, I'm gonna have a whole lot to say with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, shit, we could definitely get back on another drum. I know I need to take a break right now. I'm hungry as shit. I need to get something to eat.
Maybe it's bar volume.
Yeah, I'm tapped
But
out right now, man.
what's the topic right now, Walt? What you doing, Mr.
I mean,
Khalid?
I
What's the
was just
topic? What you attacking right now?
I was just going over some hold on. I was just going over some throwback Thursday shit. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And just point. I like to point out how the news is bullshit, and all of the fuck shit that they doing, and I kind of like to remind people of the things that they said that kind of got swept under the rug, or things that they be lying about. Catching them in the act of lying. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Exactly.
So it's
And
like,
you do that very well.
and the reason why I focus on that is because a lot of people, no matter what they believe, they walks of life, demographic, whatever, you know, they hold authority as truth rather than truth as authority. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's like when these people come on the news and they tell you this happened and that happened and this many people said this and this many people said that, everybody just question it. I mean, everybody just accept it 100%. They never question it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's like, man, they pulling your strings of society, and they've been doing this for a real long time. Like, so
The puppet master.
right. So, one of the things that for us to get free is that we gotta break, all of these different, puppet strings that's pulling us. You know what I'm saying? When people talk about being woke, it's just like Neo in the Matrix when he wake up and he got the tubes all in his mouth and his back and all that. You got to pull all that shit out.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
you know,
Well. That's what we got. That's what we got brothers like you for, to pull certain people that are still trapped in the matrix, certain people that are still trapped in certain doctrines, certain people that really listens to the mainstream media, and they push the propaganda to the people. That's why we need brothers like you in a community to break these chains that has people bind it down, you know, and they believe people still believe in the tooth fairy, man. You know what I mean? So the
right.
mainstream media can tell the public anything, and then sometimes the public just eat it up. But this is why I want to tell the community why you are so important to the community, because not a lot of people are doing the work that you do. So can you elaborate a little bit more on the work that you do and the things that you expose to the people?
Well, like right now, like I was saying, like, a lot of right now you see it's a lot of focus on like relationships and, you know, um, black women doing this, black men doing that, like, the gynocracy, manosphere, like all of these people is talking back and forth, and it's like they all getting, installations, and they're not even aware of, the severity of this. You know what I mean? And it's like birth rate is going down. You know,
Right.
people's not having babies, and it's like they telling people like, oh well, If you're not having a period, don't worry about it. You know, shit like that. So it's like you know, you gotta have a future. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You gotta avoid these situations. You gotta avoid these installations because that's the only way that you can truly have a future and truly have a relationship. And it's like you know, homeschooling, you know, all these different things people start to see the importance of, you know. So arming yourself with knowledge. Knowledge is power. You know, a lot of
Yes.
times people like, you know, we hear things that we might not know about or might not necessarily be interested in, and we let our interest be too much in entertainment instead of intellect. You know what I mean? You know, intellect should be your entertainment. The things that, you know, like a lot of people, oh, you know, I gotta watch this TV show or watch that. If you're not learning nothing from it, then you know what I'm saying?
Throw it in the
It's really
trash.
wasting your time, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, a lot of times we just be concerned with stuff that's matters of no real importance, and that's what the silent war is about. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Well, you know,
That is no
I think that
importance. Man.
a problem in our community is it's like you said, arming yourself with knowledge. And I think a problem in our community is that people wardrobes are bigger than their bookshelves. So
Right,
I mean, you can look very fly, you look good, but how much is upstairs? So
right,
if you can spend $2,000 on the Gucci belt, but you're not spending any money on books. So I believe it's my personal opinion that you know what you bring to the table, and you know what I bring to the table because we are very well studied. You know, I consider myself, you know, you know, I do a lot of studying on religion and stuff like that. You know, and you know, man, you know, we have to, like you said, arm ourselves with knowledge and understand that, you know,
right,
knowledge is a gun, man. You know,
right.
knowledge
Like,
is
and it's like,
a gun.
man, it's like, you know, when people just like in a relationship, like once somebody becomes untrustworthy and you feel like you can't trust them, you're not going to depend on them. You don't want to depend on them. You're not going to be looking for them to take care of you or look out for them. You're going to start making, you know, moves to start taking care of yourself. So, you know, that's what I'm trying to point out to, you know, a lot of people who allow themselves to sit on the lap of the system. You know what I mean? They hope that the system is going to work out and do all this, but it's like, man,
Mhm.
I'm showing that these people don't have your best interests at heart and that they doing things against your best interests. You know, so
Right,
well, you
right,
know, once we can break that trust and you know in this situation, you know, people can start to do for self. But you know, as long as they plugged in, they don't see any reason to divest, so to speak. You know what I'm
right.
saying?
Hmm.
So you know, like, but now more than ever, these people has been playing their hand and they showing you what they require of you for you to be in a system. And you know,
Exactly.
you can't allow yourself to think that that's the only way to live. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the things just like with these truckers, man. You know, people don't understand. Like, you know, these truckers, if they don't move the goods and services, then people don't eat. You know what I'm saying? Companies and businesses don't get their shit. So people have to respect that. Like, you know what I mean? And people gotta understand that, you know, you matter too. You know, like we hear always talk about that shit, but you know, you can make moves and make people respect you know, you as a human being too. You know, but
Right.
if you just filling yourself up with, you know, how to do a voiceover and how to do a dance move and shit, you know, then you just
Yeah.
destroy yourself. You
Yeah.
know, you got people that's doomsday prepping. You know, people that's going out and getting, you know, goods and resources and you know, making sure that they got things that they can survive and sustain themselves. You know, if something was to just fall apart, but it's
Sure.
like, you know, if you just ordering out every night or you know, just you know, living in la la land, and it's like you're seeing all this crazy shit going on in the world, and you
Right.
just hoping things just pan out. You just hoping shit okay. It's just like on that Men in Black movie when they were saying like how like people don't even be realizing how many times that they came face to face with annihilation, and we saved them behind the scenes and they didn't even know and shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, man, like once again, people have been shown that it is like, while you in La La Land, you don't even know that you checking lifelines and shit. Because if these trucker motherfuckers, if they really decide to shut everything down, like it would be a serious, serious problem. You ain't ordering Uber Eats and all of that shit. These people ain't got shit.
Right.
Like so, like man, it's like you gotta get with the program. You gotta learn how to be, to sustain yourself from the situation. Like how to feed yourself, how to live off the land. You know what I mean? How to make your own electric, how to make your own water, get your own water system and shit like that. All these things that they've been not teaching people, and telling people, basically flat out telling people that they can't do in certain states. You know what I'm saying? You know, um, one of the things that they talked about like was getting a house and you know buying a home, and that's a lot of things that a lot of people aspire to do. But it's like in this day and age, it's like, man, you want to get land. You know what I'm saying? You want to get land, but even better, you want to get something like a mobile home, something that you can move around with. You know what I mean? Because it's like you never know when shit get crazy. And it's like, a lot of people lost everything, just trying to live the American dream. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah. Yeah, that's a facade.
Yeah, man.
That's a
You gotta
facade.
get
The
with the real
American dream
times,
is a
man.
facade. It's make believe. It's makeup. It's like the American dream is in retrospect, it is makeup. A woman can come outside with all the beautiful makeup on, the lipstick, the fake eyelashes, the weave, and all that, and she may be beautiful with all the makeup. But when she go home and hit that shower, and that makeup wash off, then you see the reality of it. And that's just the American dream. The American dream is it's makeup. It's not reality, man. You and I and the people that's been living in the hells of America for 40 plus years, and elders of ours that's been living in this America for longer than us, that has the knowledge and wisdom and understanding, understands that America is just a big old corporation, you know, and it sells you false dreams. And the dreams become nightmares because you're chasing this false dream and you end up in a hole, you know? So, like you said, man, you got communities out, people out here who is barely making it, and they still chasing this American dream. White picket fence and all this other nonsense craziness. People gotta wake up, man. Gotta wake up.
Yeah, man. It's like, man, you gotta learn how to be self sufficient, man. Because
Yes, sir.
how many boosters does it take for you to get angry, for you to get you know serious about what's going on? Like
Right.
like voiceovers and dance moves is not going to save you. You
Oh
know what
no.
I'm saying? Like, you
Definitely
know,
not.
if it was,
Definitely not,
if
man.
it was, if we could do some Guardian of the Galaxy shit, then it would be done already. You know what I mean?
Right.
Trust that. But this is not the movies, man. So
But
people got to get real. Like I done seen like videos of little kids, little white kids, they can shoot shotguns backwards. You know what I'm
yes.
saying?
Yes.
You know, start fires and tie all kind of knots and cook and shit like that. Kids,
Yep.
you know.
Yes, sir. You're
So it's like,
correct.
man, you got to be teaching your kids things that they can learn how to survive, man.
You
Teaching
know, and
yourself, you know.
that's a testimony towards other communities preparing themselves for the worst to happen. You know, survivor tactics are not really taught in our neighborhoods. You know, half of our youth probably don't even know how to swim. You know, understand what I'm saying? Let alone farming. You know, so
Yeah, you got people on, influencers like, yeah, I don't cook, I don't clean, and you know the rest of the song. And it's like, man, if you don't cook and you don't clean, then you making a lot of problems for yourself. So it's like, man, it's like, if you don't cook and you don't clean, what are you focused on? These are just natural things that sustain life. You know, if the store closed tomorrow, or you can't order online tomorrow, what you gonna do? You know what I'm saying?
right.
Like, if just like, all right, like, if the trash truck stop coming, how could you be how would you go about being sanitary, in a situation where you can't dispose of your trash how you want to? You know what I'm saying? So you know people don't like, they take things for granted. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
They take a lot of shit for granted, in this world and shit, man.
So you saying that right when you was talking about when things get real serious, right? I want if people are chiming in, whoever's chiming in, or this whoever sees this, right? I want people to think about this right here. Say tomorrow the supermarkets shut down. Say the powers that be say, you know what? We're closing the supermarkets in the urban neighborhoods. What are people gonna do?
Right? They
So
they would just they would the first thing they would do is they would run to the white neighborhoods to try to get, you know.
you
But
think they're gonna let you in there?
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
What if it
man.
got to what if
You
it got
feel
to
me,
the point
Walk? You
that,
feel me, Khalid? And I
yeah,
say that
what
to
if it,
say
what if it got to
what
the
you
point,
bring to the table,
right? What if
telling
it got to the
people
point where they
and
start pulling
teaching
out
people
straps
about
on you and shit?
resources is so valuable. It's so valuable. It's more
Yeah.
valuable than the
Mhm.
Yankees hat. It's more valuable than a Gucci belt. It's more valuable than some Prada shoes. You know? But we we as elders in our community now, we have to get this out to the youth. It ain't easy. It ain't easy. You know, Malcolm X, it wasn't easy for Malcolm X. It wasn't easy for Khalid Muhammad, Marcus Garvey. But we have to do it. We have to get this youth to understand the importance of resources, economics, community building. It's a must, or this will be Mississippi burning. You know what I mean?
Right.
Hey, but I'm getting ready to park, right? I'm gonna get out and I'm gonna jump back in, all right?
All right.
I just touched base. I just landed at the home front.
All right.
So I'm gonna get out, Glenn, and I'm gonna jump back in. All right.
All right. I'm about to throw something on real quick. Man, this shit it's not a game, man. It's not a game with these people, yo. And if you keep thinking it's a game, you're gonna be prey. You know what I'm saying? You gotta get with the program. It's not a game. It's like AI said. It's not a game. You know what I'm saying? What we got going on here? We got some videos. Yeah, I ain't trying to start nothing, but fuck it. You know these motherfuckers. I gotta stay on the course, man. You know, so this dude right here, he made this situation, right? And I think we went over this before, you know, but he was told not to, you know what I'm saying, not to speak
I'd
on it.
like to touch on a couple of things. Regarding the age stratification, I was asked not to speak about this
Yeah.
by Nancy Pelosi's office, but I had a meeting with them last fall, and I specifically asked that they ask the CDC to age stratify, and there was absolutely no action taken. So it's not as if the administration and the senior leadership in the House, at least, was not aware of this issue of age stratification.
See, so like you know they don't care, and while you worried about stupid shit, they just like yeah, fuck it, give them the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna play this shit again. And what they talking about the shit for kids, man.
Pfizer and partner BioNTech are now in the process of submitting clinical trial data to the FDA. They're looking for the agency to amend the emergency use authorization that's on the books so that kids between 6 months and 4 years old can get their shots. We're talking about 19 million kids, part of this only age group left that is not yet eligible to be vaccinated. It would be 2 doses to start. Studies on a possible 3rd dose need to be completed, and each dose is 3 micrograms, which is a tenth of what adults get. As for what the timeline looks like, the FDA says its vaccine advisory panel will be
And they
meeting
told the
on
board
February
don't even
15th.
speak on
And
it.
so if the FDA gives the okay, this may be added to the CDC's vaccine advisor's previously scheduled meeting on February 23rd and 24th. Then the head of the CDC would make her decision soon after. Pfizer and partner BioNTech, they're in this rolling submission process. They're going to be regularly sending data to the FDA. Now, Dr. Paul Offit of Children's Hospital of Philadelphia is on the panel.
I can tell you, everybody that sits around the table at the FDA Vaccine Advisory Committee is a skeptic, and we're not going to approve this until we're comfortable that we would give it to our own children or our own grandchildren.
If the FDA does give the okay, the CDC's vaccine advisors will then meet. They have a meeting scheduled for February 20th.
If you trust them dudes, man, you done lost your damn mind. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, this shit ain't no joke, man. It's unnecessary. It's like, all right, like kids is not even getting sick like that, you know. So why is y'all like just moving the goalposts yet again? Like, okay, yeah, fuck it, let's do this. I would suggest people go out and watch that movie Vax. It's 1 and 2. You know what I mean, and all these different parents, talking about what situations have done to their kids. You know what I mean? Lyme disease, long haulers disease, shit like that. Right? Shit ain't no joke, man. Ain't no joke.
Peace.
Man, you back on, man. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me clearly, Khaled?
Yeah, I can hear you good. Yeah.
All right, because I can still barely hear you.
Hold on.
I don't know why.
Can you hear me better now?
I can hear you a little bit better now, not much better, but I can hear you a little bit better.
Probably because I was not conveying my voice as much. Is
What
that
you
better,
said, brother?
I said, is that better now?
Not really. I bring my ear close though. I don't mind. We've been in rougher situations than this. Hey, I wanted to ask you a question. I see, how you feel about that Brian Flores situation, the coach, the black guy that's suing the NFL. I don't know if I'm off your topic or anything, but it's just something I wanted to ask you.
No, that wasn't off topic. Well, what happened with it? I'm not even
Well,
familiar.
the gentleman Brian Flores, he's currently suing the NFL for discrimination, which we know that the NFL is very discriminative towards people of melanin, and it's not something that we perceive to be that way. It is an actual fact that racism is definitely a card that is played in the NFL, and he's taking a stance of suing the NFL. He has certain text messages, certain emails, certain phone calls that he's going to provide with his lawsuit. And I only say that to say that, a prominent coach in the NFL by the name of Bill Belichick, that coached the New England Patriots, he made a mistake and text uh, Brian Flores, congratulations, but he meant to text the other gentleman, Campbell, that got the head coaching job for the Giants. And it was like, wow, like I'm not putting Belichick, hanging him up on a cross per se, because I think he made an honest mistake in texting the wrong person. But it goes to show you that he knew that this brother did not have the job, and he knew that by another person of European descent had the job who was not as qualified as him. So he's in the inner circle where he had already previously knew this information. And it was like they were still bringing the brother in for an interview, the fake Rooney rule, which we all know that is just to get a person of color, of melanin, in the office. But it doesn't guarantee him a job, whether he is qualified for it or not. And I just say that to say, and I'll stop here. I say that to say that people of color, of melanin, when we take a job, we have a responsibility, and they look for things for us to, drop that responsibility. And on the other hand, is when people of non-melanin go for a job, it's like they're looking for their good qualifications, and they're
Right.
looking for us not to be qualified. So
Right.
and like I said, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna stop. I'm very proud of Brian Flores. I don't think that he should take a job in the NFL. I think that he should be a trailblazer and expose, which they have already been exposed, people with knowledge like us, and make a statement, a very loud, roaring Mufasa tiger statement. I mean, lion statement to the NFL, because, it's just been going on for too long, like.
Well, I mean, the NFL is just as much as racist as the KKK. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Exactly.
They just out in the limelight. You know what I'm saying? All right, just like recently, um, the Redskins changed their names to the Commanders.
The
You know what I
command.
mean? Now, as we know, that the Redskins is one of the most racist organizations in sports. At one point or another, they had vowed to like never have a black person, play for them. You know what I mean? Until that became, you know, to that economically didn't make sense. I
Mm-hmm.
would say, you know, so there's always been, racism in NFL. And even down to keeping a white quarterback, the star quarterback. You know what I mean? The position on the field that they would say requires the most intelligence is like reserved for the white boy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
Yes.
like
And it's been that way.
when you see like brothers like Cunningham, Michael Vick, you know, McNabb, people who revolutionized that position, they say, oh, these people can't be held as true quarterbacks because they don't stay in the pocket. You know what I'm saying? They
Mm-hmm.
use
Mm-hmm.
their athleticism to change the tempo of the game, you know, but they
Exactly.
don't want to respect that because, the basically, the white boys don't move like that. You know what I mean? But
Exactly.
but I remember when I was a kid, my peoples had a Randall Cunningham beanbag doll. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I never forget that the beanbag doll was white. Now, Randall Cunningham, we all know Randall Cunningham is dark skin, bro. You know what I'm saying? So why can't the doll be dark skin? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So so it's like, they always have done, racist shit, and even like with the whole Kaepernick shit, and Trump and them, they saying like woke is broke and all that. So basically, these jobs, all these jobs is the same. When it comes to black people, they want you to coon. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
They want you to buck dance. They want to see how disloyal you can be to your people, and
They
how
want you to
loyal
be.
that you
They
can
want you to be a
pledge.
Stephen A. Smith, huh?
Right. They want you to pledge your allegiance to them. And the more that you can pledge your allegiance to them and denounce and even attack your own people, they'll pay you big bucks to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that
Exactly.
that's the name of the game. It's been like that for a long time. So this is why you got people like what's the boy name? Jesse Lee Peterson. You know what I mean? Stephen
Oh.
A. Smith. All of
Oh.
these dudes. They get paid big money to to
To coon.
yeah, and I mean to coon basically, and it's like it's not outside the realm of reality because people do that on their regular jobs. You know, a lot of black people, when you go to your job, you already got your white speaking voice already ready. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So when they ask you the when they ask you them questions on the job, the questionnaires, you answering the questions how you want them to how they want to be answered. If
Yes.
you see two people, if you see somebody stealing in the aisle, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna call the police. But
Exactly.
you couldn't keep it real and be like, man, I ain't none of my business. I ain't no snitch or nothing like that. You can't write what you really want. So you gotta you're coon. You already on display to coon. You are expected to coon. You know what I'm saying? And it's like every
Exactly.
person knows that on one level or another. And it's like people think that when you get to this entertainment world, that they don't have to buck dance and coon. It's
They
probably
the
even
biggest
more
buck.
over there. This
Yes.
is why
That
you
is
can have
correct.
this is why you can have millions of millionaires come out the black community,
Huh.
and the black community be fucked up because is it outside the realm of reality that maybe a part of their contract is that they can't give back to their communities? Maybe these people don't have access to all their money. A lot
Mhm.
of these dudes, they got accountants and they got people to count their money for them and give them allowance. And sometimes they don't even see their money. They just get trinkets and toys and houses and shit like that, but they never get to see all of their bread. You know,
Yes.
and they pop up with a mythical white woman that that get all in their brain and make them
A
do crazy
Becky.
shit.
A Karen.
Think about Young Jeezy right now. Young Jeezy. Now, this is Trap or Die, shoot 'em up, gangster, hardcore, 17-5. This dude, he got a baby with with some white girl, and they saying that they baby don't have no gender.
Oh, I did read something about
Like,
that.
you know what I'm saying? And
I
and they
did.
gonna let the baby
Yeah.
pick the gender. Like, what kind of shit is that? Well,
I
we
did read something about that,
we
Khaled.
know that's not. We know Jeezy ain't come up in no household like that.
Nah.
So what kind of tentacles did they get into him to make him go along with some shit like that? Same shit like
And
with
like you said, not Mr. 17-5. Right?
same shit with Dwayne Wade and his wife. What's the girl name? Gabrielle Union.
Gabrielle.
A lot of people say, man, no, like she's a cool person. So what would fuel them to treat their son like that? You know what I'm saying? Or had their
Exactly.
son just wilding all crazy like that. You know what I'm saying?
100%
Like,
agree.
it seems to be like there's a greater initiative or a greater agenda that these people had to be a part of, whether they want to or not. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
It's like with the
Yes, sir.
suicide shit, like I pointed out, the Regina King
Excuse me 1 second,
video.
Khaled. 1 second. Sorry.
I pointed out that in a Regina King video about the suicide shit, her son, and the eerie connection of the Netflix, movie that she was in, and how Netflix suggested that shit right around the time of her son murder, which was like disrespectful to say the least. You know what I'm saying? But suicide equals 119. And just like this clip right here, I want to play again. I didn't really get to touch on, but the girl who died, she supposed to have jumped off the roof. Her name equals 107, and suicide also equals 107 in gematria. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna just play that little half of this clip real
We
quick
want to
just so
turn
you
now to
saw
our
him talk.
GMA cover story. A lot of you maybe saw this shocking news last night or woke up to it this morning. The tragic death of former Miss USA and extra correspondent
Her right
Chesley
here.
Chris, who died by
You know what
apparent
I'm saying?
suicide
Now,
Sunday morning. We're going to
Chesley Chris equals 107, and suicide equals 107. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a coincidence that these numbers add up yet again. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They orchestrate and shit like that. But it's so much fuck shit that go on in the news daily, man.
You're right about that, man. There's so much distractions and cooning going on. It's a shame. And I think that a lot of people are out. A lot of people are not focused. I think it comes from a lack, in my opinion, and a lack of knowledge of self. And I think that when people get out of doctrines, the matrix, and really start letting letting your DNA resurrect into your mental, man, I think that can be a major wake-up call for some people, because it was a wake-up call for me. I mean, some of the knowledge that I've, acquired throughout the years, and the things that, we may talk about now, things that we've heard before when we were younger, and we grab. I'm gonna give you a story real quick. I was telling this story to my and I may have said it the last time I was on live with you. It was like we grew up together, so this is me telling you something is like nothing that you don't already know. But we would be in our neighborhood, and we would care about our neighborhood and knock on doors in our neighborhood and really try to keep the drugs out of our neighborhood and things like that. And it's like, wow, people just lost any care for anything. And I think that they are not in tune with what they can be, and what we
Yeah,
were
I mean,
as a
they turned up on people. You know what I'm saying? Like, even when you think about the war on drugs, the war on
right.
drugs became the war on each other, because everybody, like, now the only people that were saying this was the rappers. Was like, yo, like, there's no chemist labs in the rappers and the activists. There's no chemist labs in the neighborhood. Sometimes even the movies try to show you these things, but the the community itself turned on the youth and say, yeah, we got to stop this war on drugs, and we got to get these drug dealers out of our society. You know what I'm saying? And we just wanted them to get locked up. We're right along the time where these people were saying, where you got the crime bill coming out that your man Biden us some time, helped put together. And they say, oh yeah, we know what to do with them. We just going to just lock them up and send them off to jail and have them be a part of all kind of programs or whatever we want them to do. You know what I'm saying? Essentially putting them back into slavery and guinea pig shit. So like, when the war became against the youth and just get them locked up, we gave full power and full trust over to the devils who just rolled out phase 2 of their plan. You know what I'm saying? Like, the community itself didn't step back and say, yo, these people dropped drugs in our neighborhood and they used our youth to destroy the neighborhood. They didn't say that. They allowed the media and movies and all this other fuck shit, the same way that Color Purple did, for the whole gender war shit. You know, it allowed people's more to morph their reality into thinking that we did this shit to ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
Right. 100%.
So the war became against us. And it's like we have to realize that, manipulation plays a role, and instigation plays a role in all of this shit. You know what I mean? And it's always coming back to the car dealer. These people who is dealing you the situation, giving you, you know what I'm saying? Giving you the rope to hang yourself and all that. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely, man. Definitely, man. I don't mean to switch. I don't mean to switch engines on you, right? But it was something else that had been on my mind, and I probably should
It's
have
all
called
good.
you.
I mean, we've been switching engines all night. I like that. I like doing that.
I probably should have called you and had a discussion with you first. But I've been seeing a couple people talk about the connection between West Africa and Kemet. And I say this to say that, I mean, like, how could there not be a connection? I mean, that's my basis. I don't know if you feel differently,
Well,
but
I mean, I
no,
would suggest that people look at the work of Ivan Van Sertima. You know what I mean?
a great.
You know,
There's no
and it's like,
giraffes. There's no
like well, a
giraffes.
lot of times, like, people listen to like people like Citizen Man, and they say the child pedophile shit is linked to Egyptians, and they show doctored up uh doctored up script things from Kemet. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
and it's like, man, like we got hours and hours and hours of footage on scholars that have fully decoded and showed these things in great detail. And it's like, man, these new YouTube people, they try to come over and they lead people on with other factual information just to step on bullshit. You know what I'm saying? They
Exactly.
gatekeepers, so to speak. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? So, Citizen Man, he's being the gatekeeper in that regard. Like, he put out some information that's good, but then that's how they bait you. That's how they bait you to get you on some bullshit. You know what I mean? So it's like, we to engage and go back and forth with these people is like, man, it's like we stand on the shoulders of giants so that we can see further than a giant. So like a lot of these things that these giants that our predecessors that came before us, they covered these things already. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got brothers online talking about the earth is flat. You know what I'm saying? Like, our ancestors already discovered that the earth is
Exactly.
round. You know what I'm saying? We the
That's
first
why
people that
I don't mean to cut you off, but that's why I said that to you, because this was a topic, the connection between West Africa and North Africa, that was just like demolished 200 years ago by European scouts. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, this was 18. I don't want to get the date wrong, but I could be wrong. What, 1885? This was a scholarly topic amongst European
and
scholars.
see, like, the thing, sometimes people, like, they don't see the connection in things. And it's like, you kind of speak out both sides of our mouth. It's like, like when some people will say like that, like these Europeans who wrote about black people, and basically turn what we know on its head. You know what I'm saying? They say, well, why would these people write these things? Maybe that was a scam, or maybe that was bullshit, and maybe none of that is true. And it's like it's always an attack at our history, and the things that make us
Yes.
great, where somebody is trying to say, well, yeah,
Yes.
maybe they didn't really do that. And you know um but one thing is that you also got to make the connection is that we know that racism is a system. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's not something that's always been in existence. So with that said, and then you also have people that say there's a lot of good white people out here.
It
So
is.
if that's true, then you know why is it hard to believe that some white people would not be into the whole racist paradigm of whitewashing history, and
White your history.
they would just tell the truth as what they see. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
They think about the rabbit hole that you would have had to been down to get to that point in the first place. You know, if
Ooh,
you brought up
deep.
if you brought up in
Deep right there.
if you brought up in religion and all kind of theology and stuff that politics and shit that you later learned was bullshit, then it's like why would you even try to give any credence to a corrupt system that's designed on lies? You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So
Yes.
it would make perfect sense for people that even when you think about abolitionists, you had abolitionists, white people like John Brown. You know what I'm saying? Like they wasn't with the system and they was ready to ride on that shit. So
Right.
why wouldn't these people give black people their flowers? You know what I'm saying? So it's like we understand that racism is a system. Capitalism is a child of racism. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
these systems that are in place, they use racism as a tool. Even the people who hide behind blue doors and walk on black and white floors, they use racism as a means of symbolism. The day and night, the sun and the moon, shit like that. So
Mm-hmm.
they constantly stir the pot on that. You know what I'm saying? And when you think about just racism and how it is displayed, rhetorically, is always between black people and white people. But
Mm-hmm.
you got all different kind of racism. You got the racism in the Latin community, in the Oriental community, and you know what I'm saying? You know, everywhere. But they try to have you focus on just this black and this white paradigm because that fits into the whole good versus evil. Look at it just like how like King pointed out, the words and the terminologies they use for white and the words and the terminologies they use for black, they tell the story, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Of
Right.
what they try to implicate. So it's not outside the realm of reality that they do this shit with these news stories and shit like that. Anytime that you can watch the news, you don't have to look too far to find a negative story about a black person. You know what I'm
Sir.
saying? But on the contrast, they're gonna tell you something great or something good that a white person did. You know what I'm saying? The news has always been that way. You know what I'm saying? It fits into the symbolism, it fits into the systematic racism. So when you got school education, indoctrination, all these different, tentacles of the system, they designed to push that forward. This is why they don't want critical race theory and all this other shit. Like even how they word it, critical race theory. This is not a theory. This is reality. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? But
That's the difference.
you don't want kids to learn about how we got to this point. Like with Black History Month, like I was saying earlier. They just tell you, oh yeah, you was a slave and we shall overcome and all of this, but we don't talk about how we even got to this point. And because to talk about how we got to this point, we had to tell the story about all of the corrupt, backstabbing, fucked up shit that you did to get in power
Exactly.
in the first place. So
Exactly.
this is why they don't be wanting to have that conversation. You know what I'm saying? It's
Mm-hmm.
just like when you talk about the war on drugs, right? But this country was built on drugs, built
Bill.
on selling drugs. So
Bill.
they're gonna close the door on that history so that they
Bill.
can enforce this whole bad drugs is bad thing. But y'all used
Mm-hmm.
it to make millions of dollars, right? Y'all used it to fund secret wars and all of this kind of shit, right? But,
Yes.
so it's only bad when people who don't work for you do it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
It's only bad when they can't balance, when the check doesn't balance, that don't balance in their bank account, when it's not beneficial
Right.
to the oppressor, you know.
Right.
So man, I, I can't say this enough. We have to appreciate those people and the people such as yourself that takes their time out to give the people this knowledge. We freestyling and giving it up right now. But man, this is serious, man. This is serious business, man. To open one's mind up. To get that third eye looking. It's serious what people do, and we gotta support people such as yourself who got their feet on the ground in the community. I'm not saying this because this is something you told me. I've seen it, with my own eyes. You know what I mean? I've seen you give homeless people food, money right out your
Well,
pocket. You know what I
well,
mean? And it's not for the
I'm
public
not.
eye to see.
I've been with people. I've been with people that that be online and they got big followings, and we've been at events together, and I seen them walk right past homeless people and just
Yes.
completely ignore them, and I'm like, damn,
Yes.
like people. It's like you speak against this kind of type of shit online, but you do this just openly in front of people, like, what I mean? So it's like you must be accustomed to doing this. So it's
And
like,
I say that to say because
like
I want those that
I,
chime in and view you, Khalid. I want
I,
them to know,
I, but look, I get that people had their moments or whatever, and sometimes like even people got mixed views on that. I get all of that, but the thing is like the when you see people online, like videotaping themselves, doing things for less fortunate people, in this whole clout chasing era,
clout chase.
it really just puts a stain on that shit, because it's like, charity is supposed to be done in private. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And it's
For
like
your own heart.
one thing that I do say is that a lot of times people who got something negative to say about me, 99% of the time, people who got something negative to say about me got a favor from me in their back pocket. They got a receipt for a favor, something that I did for them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, they got that to think about. But you know what I'm saying? Like people try to see them, videotape themselves or broadcasting themselves, helping people to get clout and proverbial pats on the back, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
at the expense of somebody else, because you might be exploiting somebody who don't want to
Yeah.
be on.
It's
You
being
know what I'm saying? That somebody who's going through something and don't want to be taken advantage of in that way. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you're not gonna see me like, doing stuff like that. You know what I mean? But it's like, I'm gonna encourage everybody to, do what you can to help a less fortunate person, because there's always somebody that's doing worse than you.
And
And
the reason
we
why
didn't all seen
that
better
to you,
days, and we
because
seen worse days.
I
But
don't know, Khalid, if people who tune into you actually know who you are as a person and what you do, and the paradigm of who you actually are. And I'm saying, if
well, I mean, my family always been in public service. You know what I'm saying? So is really, it's been taught to
it's
us
a
to help
given.
people. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So yeah, it's like it's second nature. You know what I'm saying? So it was
I
like,
know that.
when people like exploit that, it's like, I don't like that. It make me feel some type of way about that. I don't like people that when people exploit that kind of shit. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
If you're gonna do it, do it. You know what I mean? Help
Mhm.
somebody. And it's like, you know, the crazy thing is that sometimes you can give of yourself so much that you can put yourself in compromising situations. And that's a part of being an adult and learning how to balance things in life, because
Mhm.
everything is about balance.
Mhm.
So that's one thing that's not in the instruction manual. You know what I'm saying? But you gotta, you do things in moderation, and you have balance, so you don't burn yourself out.
Right.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
some words are very catchy to me, and it's like when you say it's not an instruction. But my yacht, man, that balance walk. You know what I mean? If people like I said, I'm not a religious dude. You know what I mean? My guys is my mother and my father.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Where's wisdom at?
if you
I gravitate to it, man. And when
just
you,
like Dr. Ben said, he said if you only going by 10 commandments and it's 42 laws, you're making a lot of mistakes.
a
You know
lot
what
of
I'm saying?
you
So
making,
yeah, like we gotta do the lessons, man. We gotta do the lessons. We can't forget. We can't forget the lessons. Like we can't become modernized. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
got to do the lessons, man. So, because I think that in our community, a lot of that unity and doing for one another is gone. And when you don't have that love,
How can you be? How can you have unity if you're socially distant? You know what I'm
exactly,
saying? Like this is a psyop.
you
You
can't
know?
have that. You know what I mean? You can't have unity, and you have to be 6 feet apart.
Right.
That's another thing.
So it's like, man, it's like you got to pick your poisons. You got people that's like arguing about the shape of the earth, or whose religion is
Yeah.
you know what I mean, whatever. And it's like, man, you should be arguing about these mandates, and the validity of this whole situation. Is this the flu or not? Shit like
Mm-hmm.
that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So if these things is not pushing you to do your own research, to look out for yourself,
I
to
also,
to if
well,
if you're not
I
if you're
think
not if you're not
Khalil,
being fueled to make
what,
changes in your life, you know you're being distracted.
yeah, and I think that a problem in our community, Khalil, where that lies is that we
Gatekeeping.
have throughout history, our rights have been taken from us. You know what I mean? And now it seems like we don't want we don't see
Well,
the
because
fight.
we've been given something, and see, like, when things are taken away, there's always something else is given. You know what I'm saying? And entertainment is given, and they've given us a great deal of entertainment and programming. And this is why I'm trying to use the virus as the antidote. You know what I'm saying? And the virus being the programming, the propaganda, the media, the TV, the entertainment, the entertainment that comes from the government. These are clear examples of what they trying to do and what they've been doing successfully. They've been programming people. You know what I mean? Back to your regular scheduled programming. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the government, that means to govern your mind. Their greatest export is entertainment, to
Mm-hmm.
entertain and control your mind. So, it's all in them. That's their mission statement right there. So, they've used these actors and entertainers as gatekeepers to program you, so these people, like right now, like Rihanna and ASAP Rocky is having a baby allegedly. You know what I'm saying? And you
Mm-hmm.
got people that's really like upset about that. They're like, damn, like, I can't believe this. I can't believe that she would have a baby with him. And they like mad, and it's like, yo, this not shit. Like, and first of all, you don't even know if it's real or not.
Yeah, I mean,
You know what I'm saying?
that's
Like, you know how many times that the
the
actors and entertainers use baby bumps just to get media frenzy, and then they adopt a baby or get a surrogate or some shit like that, and never even have a baby. You know how many times they did that?
a
You know what I'm
blessing.
saying? Like, so it's like a lot of this should be distraction. And they know that you care about these superstars and entertainers so much that when these stories break, these are all your concerns. And people take the YouTube and social media and they gotta chat it up and talk about matters of no real importance.
None at all. Yeah, because I guess that's what people care about. You know what I mean? Some people care about other people entertain their lives so much they just, but that is I couldn't even think about it. You know what I mean? Like, blessings to the baby, but
It's all a
I don't
program, man.
even pay
That's why you
attention.
gotta break the programming.
Yeah, they programmed. They got that chip in them.
You know, try. You know, you gotta explore independent media. You know what I'm saying? Support independent media outlets. You know.
Yeah, you do, such as this one. You know what I
You
mean?
know.
But you like I said, man, I wanted to chime in, man. I was just coming in from work. You know what I mean? But I wanted to come in and show you some love. And you know, yeah, I'm gonna get myself situated, for the next day. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'll
Yeah.
be back after I get myself together. You know what I mean? But like I said, man, support the man, Khalid, you know what I mean? Red Pill Rescue, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Show love.
We were doing real red pilling, like. You know,
Yeah.
all of these like men, women hating channels, like people that be making videos talking about black women, and then they be having names like red pill this, red pill that. Like, I'm denouncing all of that. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Even like, all right, like the conservative people, we let y'all live a little bit with the whole red pill theme, but denouncing all of that shit too. Because real red pilling is about truth, knowledge, and wisdom. You know what I'm saying? You know, even with politics, understanding that that's two sides of the same coin, two birds of the same wing. You know what I mean? Freeing
Right.
your mind from all of that shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we just had the Matrix Resurrection movie come out, with the whole,
The name
administering of the red pill. You know,
Neo.
a lot of people been taking the blue pill, and
And
they now they taking fake red pills. You know what I'm saying? So
they
you
take
know,
me Betty.
and like the name Red Pill Rescue
Yeah.
is is a play on the Matrix, obviously, and it's a part from the game called Into the Matrix, where people who took the red pill, they get attacked by agents. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Agents in their life, people who have the agent syndrome of, cutting your wisdom short, or, trying to discredit you or tell you that you tripping for thinking like this, or you weird and shit like that. Those are the agents in your life that come and try to cut your wisdom short. So the
Right.
rescue, the rescue part is when Neo come in and save them from the agents
Mm.
around them, and let them know that no, what you thinking is real. You on to some shit. You see the bullshit, and you ready to make the next leap to the next level. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So that's what the red pill rescue is about. It's about enlightening yourself, understanding that the things that you thinking that's outside of the box, there's nothing wrong with that. You're
Let me,
actually on to something. You know what I'm saying?
hey,
So
listen, ain't nothing wrong with thinking outside the box, man. You know what I mean? That's how you break the chains, man. You know what I mean?
that's how exactly. I
Like
couldn't say it better. You know what I mean? That's how you break the chain.
how you
And
break.
just like Dr. Ben said,
I'm saying
the worst kind of shackle is the shackle that's on the mind. You know what I'm saying? So
that's what.
the shackles on your feet and your wrists, they might be gone. You know what I'm saying? But the ones on your mind is the ones that's most
The
damaged.
one
You know what I'm
that.
saying? So we gotta break these shackles on the
But
mind, man.
Harriet say, man, I could have saved a lot more slaves if only they knew they were slaves. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right,
If only they knew they were slaves, man. You know what I mean? But we gotta, like I said, man, like you always say, man, I always say, man, we gotta stand on the shoulders of our elders, not look over them. You know what I mean? Collaborate and advance the
hmm
knowledge that they already previously gave us. Take it to
right. And,
the level.
and understand
Man,
that they expect you to do. They expect you to see further. They expect you to think better. Don't just stand on the shoulders of giants and admire the giant. Like, oh, look at the giant.
man.
Your ancestors expect you to see
Hey,
further.
cuz, I gotta get up out of here. Like I said, man, the
Yeah,
youth got
I'm about to get out of here too, man.
check them out.
You know what I'm saying?
And always remember to the youth, your bookshelf should be more expensive than your wardrobe. You mean? Let
Right.
them know what I'm saying. Gucci belts and all that is fly, but your bookshelf got to be thorough, man. You know what I mean? So knowledge, wisdom, understanding, God.
Fashion is fascism.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep. So
knowledge is power.
see. All right.
All right, man. So I'm about to sign out too, man. About to go get something to eat or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm gonna give you fall back. Get ready for this next.
Peace to the fam. You know what I'm saying?
Man, peace and benedictions, man.
Yeah.
One love, King.
Yeah, so we out of here, man. I shake benedictions, man. Only you can prevent cognitive dissonance. We out, man.
Out.